So what's going on, everybody? It is the Kojo Doppelganger. So our faithful, fearless leader is in transit. He is heading back home real soon. So he said, "Look, let's just get this thing going while he gets himself settled." Kojo wears multiple hats, so the man has to have. He's a high value man and has to have multiple streams of income. So please, y'all, just forgive him. Forgive him. Hopefully we'll have a few more of the super panelists coming up. So just bear with me, y'all. We winged it over here, but I think we have a good episode to discuss and really just get into some of the goings ons. And we got a little late night, so we're gonna have a little dark element, like a little dark late night tweak to this. So we're gonna have a good time. If anybody does want to come up, please have your cameras ready. I'm gonna drop the link in a little bit in the chat. But I think this was a good episode for us to dive into, and we couldn't miss it. So we appreciate y'all patience. We know the time changed several times, so we appreciate everybody. But lots going on. I know Coach did some lives earlier, and really just talking about some of the things that transpired in this episode. So tell me what y'all thought. So we had some interesting happening. So we had Morgan, Tony, and Lyndon. So we had the great trifecta. It won't be ready to love if there's not a love triangle. So we got a really good love triangle. And listen, I'm gonna go out on a limb. I don't think it's a love triangle. It might just be a hate triangle, because the way they did old Morgan wasn't too nice. Really wasn't too nice the way they did old girl. They did her dirty. If I'm gonna be honest, she was collateral damage in the sword contest that was going on over there. We have also, we had Mercedes and her situation with Mark Anthony. We didn't get to see a lot from them, but or really hear a lot, but we saw how strong of a connection that they definitely have. And she's wound up in the end at the end of the day. So that just wasn't too nice the way they did Mercedes that way. Looks like Andre and your old girl, the fan favorite Jeffrey. Whew, she got her hooks into Andre. They got their hooks into each other and their lips on each other. So they just having a good old time. There we see where that's going. We'll have to dive into how authentic we think or not their connection is. And we got good old Blake and Suanne. Don't look too good for them. We'll see who's eliminated between Mercedes and Suanne. But right now, if I was a betting man, I'd probably say Suanne's going home. But you just never know with the Ready to Love plot twists. So yeah, we got who else do we have out there? Then we have Anthony and Cynthia, right? They seem to be connecting. But I don't know how far it's going to go. No, Kojo is not asleep. Kojo was out here getting some other business going. So he should be home soon, and he'll be back in to join us. But again, for those that are just joining us now, we're looking forward to having a couple of panelists come through. For anybody that would like to join, just a reminder, it's cameras on up here. We like to see you. We like to have that connection. Don't be shy. Everybody's nice. So for anybody that's new to coming, or thinking about coming up, everybody's nice around here. Nobody is rough and tumble. These parts we treat each other well. It's all black love around here. So if you're shy or camera shy, don't worry about it. We got you. So again, for anybody that wants to come on, just let me know. I will put the link in the chat, and we'll dive into it. But so what's the first couple we want to start with? Who do we want to talk about? Put it in the chat. Tell me who y'all want to talk about first. Yes, we do tussle, but Blake and Susu. Okay, so Blake and Suanne. Appreciate you, Coach. Coach just dropped the link for anybody that wants to come up. So if you want to come up, please, please do join us. So Blake and Suanne. So I don't know about these two. I mean, look, they seem to really like each other, and I don't know. I just feel like Blake really got the raw end of the deal. Now from everything we've seen, this guy is just, seeming like he's doing, just trying to mull through the process. So, I mean, I don't think we saw a lot of them. They seem to just be, really, not problematic. Suanne said she wanted Blake to, be there to help carry her luggage, right? That's the benefit of having him in the room. I don't know, Suanne. I hope he gonna carry more than just your luggage. I hope he carries more than your luggage. That's all I'm saying. I'm coming in a room. I'll carry your luggage for you, but what else am I good for? Please, I just make me feel good. They had bunk beds. Did I miss that? So yeah, I think listen. I think they're just trying to do the best. They're trying to do the best with what they got. Okay. Looks like we got Seaway up in here. What's going on,
Hey,
Seaway?
he's here, y'all. Okay. Hey.
Okay, I'll be on.
Oh, who's that? Jay?
Yeah, she's coming.
Okay. Wowzer. All right, so we're gonna move on. Let's move on to Mark Anthony and his connection with Mercedes. What do you think about that?
Oh, Mark Anthony and Mercedes. Well, didn't they take the weren't they riding up together?
Yeah, they were. It was Mercedes, Mark Anthony, and was it Andre? Who was driving? Andre?
I think Andre.
Yeah.
I think their connection is good. I mean, they look good together, right? I think in a perfect world, Mercedes would be who um Mark Anthony would actually want. I mean, who he should be with. But I don't know. I just feel like he is still treating her like an option. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't feel like he fully recognizes her worth. And maybe it's because I want him to kind of like pick her and kind of leave this like Jeffrey thing alone. But and it could just be the TV, but she's who he should be with, but I still feel like he's trying to keep his options open. So I don't really know if that answers your question, but I like them. I think they're adorbs. I think they look like a real couple. But yeah, I'm not fully sold if he's sold on her 100%. Seems like he still wants to keep a few eggs in Jeffrey's basket, which doesn't make any sense to me. So
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I think they seem like they have really good chemistry. They make sense together, and I think Mercedes was looking good. I liked her look, especially this particular episode. I think she really looked nice. She was in there chefing it up in the kitchen. She was the sous chef to who was cooking? Was it Anthony?
who was cooking?
I think it was Anthony, and then she was the sous chef, so she assisted.
Wait, you said what? Who was Anthony was cooking and she
And
was
then
helping?
Mercedes was the sous chef. The sous. I'm all I'm my tongue tied. The sous chef is like the person that does the assisting. So they're like the
Okay.
assistant to the main chef. We need our actual chef Jay to come on up here. But I can't pin it in the chat because I don't have the live up right now. But I put this for anybody, that wants to come on.
Yeah, but I just feel like folks like Mark Anthony have a lot of options. And you can tell when a man is like really all about you. Not to start this whole who loves who more, please. We're just going to leave that in the past. But you can tell when a man is all about you. And it feels like she's more about him than he necessarily is about her. I'm not saying he don't like her. I think he does. But she's locked in. She tells him she's locked in. I mean, there's no denying that, her all her focus is on him. And yeah, he's just not, yeah, like Lydia said, he's just not serious.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. He's doing a lot of playing around, but I see Jay just joined us. What's up, JJ?
What's up, everybody? How are we?
Good, good. You came in on us talking about Mercedes and Mark Anthony. Do you have any thoughts?
Let me say first off, I'm loving the way Mercedes is moving through this process. I know it's not great for TV, but she is flowing healthily through the dating process to me. Like she's being straightforward with people, she's being upfront and honest about where she stands with them. She might be a little head in over heels with Mark Anthony. Yet, what we do that when we lock in on somebody we kind of like more so than the other options that we have. So I can't totally fault her on that because she's not seeing the things we get to see or whatnot. But I actually really like the way she's moving through this process because to me, she's like one of the most genuine people on here looking for a relationship. As far as Mark Anthony concerned, I feel like in this process, he only started leaning more towards Mercedes after he started watching how Jeffrey and Andre was moving with one another. I mean, if a man comes up and kissed the woman that you talking to right in front of you, I wouldn't say that just that's a good place for you to keep sitting in and trying to be the side dude, because that's basically what you're leaning towards at this point. So I think most of his move towards Mercedes by the end of the episode was just more so because he noticed Jeffrey is just a bit more into Andre than she is him. So
Yeah, I actually like that it worked out this way. And it seems like he got a little bit of sense because he said, although he still does like Jeffrey, but he sees that he gravitated more towards Mercedes because it just makes sense. If he keeps going down this route with Jeffrey, for me, it's just like, come on, bro, you just either don't know what you're doing or you're just playing around because it just don't make sense. Anything else on Mark Anthony and Mercedes?
I mean, I feel like they were barely around this episode, It seems like, I mean, we didn't really get much of them. I mean, we got a couple of peeks of them hugged up in the house. And I was like, oh, that's cute. You could definitely tell, like, because I think the house is like that turning point where everybody needs to pick what they're going to do. And he definitely seemed to pick Mercedes, and Jeffrey seemed to pick Andre. Right. So I think that kind of tells people where they're leaning. But I haven't seen a man of intention yet. Like, I don't know what his intentions are for her. And maybe that's going on behind the scenes and we just haven't heard it. But I would love to know what his intentions are, what his goals are for her. It just seems like one of those things where they get along on the show and then afterwards we get the update that they don't talk anymore, because I'm not seeing where what his intentions are, but I hope I'm wrong because she's locked into him and I would want it to work out for her for sure. So
Hey, Faye, how are you? Any thoughts as we close out on Mark Anthony and Mercedes? Any
Can you hear us, Faye?
Yes, I don't know. There was like a weird echo just now. Hey y'all.
do you have us going in the background?
No, I don't. Not anymore.
Yes,
I don't know. There was like a weird echo just now. Hey y'all.
Do you have us going in the background?
Oh my gosh, yes I do. Hold on.
No, I
don't. Okay, I fixed it. I'm sorry.
No worries.
I don't really have much to say about those two. I don't know. They're just kind of boring. Next. Sorry.
All right. Sounds like a plan. So we'll move on to Anthony and Cynthia. And I guess he got friend zoned with Mercedes. So I don't know who his other connection might be. Let me know if I missed it. Who was Anthony's other connection? I know initially it was Mercedes, but then she friend zoned him. Did he have any other
Yes,
connections?
Mercedes, Suanne, and Cynthia.
Suanne. Yes. All right. So who wants to go first? Anthony and his
who are we talking about?
connections / non-connections.
Let's just talk about Anthony and Suanne first, because that was interesting. Like, I started off with that one because Anthony and Suanne, I don't know if these are like the two oddest people together all the time. Every time they meet, it's so awkward. I have no clue. But I really feel like in this moment, Suanne cut herself in the foot with Anthony. And I'm not sure if she intentionally tried to do it or she was just trying to kind of manipulate the situation, so to speak, a little bit. And not necessarily in a bad way, but in one of them ways that, well, you shot your shot with me, so it's too late, but I really don't mean it. Because by the end of that conversation that they had together, she was basically like, what? When he said, okay, well, I'm moving on. I'm sorry that we didn't work out that way and stuff. And it was like, wait, no, so you're just giving up? Like, and sometimes that works in certain situations, but you kind of got to know who you got that with. It's kind of a little connection that, you know, I can get away with this because I know this person well enough to know that if I do this, they're going to respond in this manner. And Anthony is just not that dude. Like, he doesn't respond to those type of, I forgot the word, but when you do that kind of movement, he's not going to move the direction that you want him to, because he's not fully sold into her in the first place. So it was like, okay, well, you cut me off. Well, I tried to make it work between us, but here we go. Or whatnot. And so she kind of shot herself in the foot, because I'm like, dude, he's giving you an open on Men's Week to stay in this race by just saying, hey, yeah, we still have a shot together. And I'm not totally mad at her if she locked in on Blake. I'm not sure exactly why she locked in on Blake, but I'm not totally mad. If you find you a person that you like, do you. But is it the right choice all the time? Not necessarily. Are you shooting other people cutting other people off and shooting yourself in the foot a little too soon? I believe so, because sometimes we do this in real life where we find somebody, we lock in on this other person, so we stop giving these other people a chance that probably are better suited for us in the long run. And so with Suanne, that's how I just looked at that situation. I'm not mad at Anthony for trying to be stand up and kind of like, yeah, let's just try to work this out, see if there's some connection. Because maybe there was something in his heart. It took a time to get there. And finally, he's like, oh, I see you. Because he didn't have to do it this week. If he'd have did it next week when the ladies have the power, then I'd be like, oh, he's playing the game. But this week, he kind of stepped up and was like, let me reach out to you and see what it is. So, I don't know. We'll see next week, I guess, if it hurt her or not by cutting him off like that.
Yeah, you're right, Jay. That wasn't super strategic, because, listen, it wound her in the bottom too, because, she would have finessed it a little bit, it could have, extended her stay, because you don't just get to stay booed up with, if with your boo's the only one that really, is connected with you, it makes it very difficult unless there's somebody that's like well liked by all the guys, and everybody's gonna just give her the benefit of the doubt, and that's definitely not the case. So, good points. Faye, what you got for us? Anthony, Suanne, and the Cynthia connection.
I like him and Cynthia together right now. What I don't really like is how I just feel like he just gave up too quickly with the Suanne thing. I would have liked to see him do a little bit more. Like, I get that he's laid back and all that, but you know, maybe for the purposes of the show, I mean, since we're here, like, I feel like there could have been a little bit more back and forth about what Suanne really wanted from him, because she was just trying to get something. Like, hey, you messed up, you really messed up bad, tried to kind of lead him in that direction. And he was just like, oh well, just done. So I would have liked to see more with that connection there, but maybe it really wasn't a connection and he was just tired of faking it and was like, I'm over it at this point. We're already at the house. So I get that part. But I think the Cynthia and him connection, that's growing strong, and I like that. So that's all I really have to say about that.
Okay. What's up, JR? Welcome.
Good evening.
Yes,
Hi, everyone.
sir. What you got for us?
Yeah. I think Suanne is very invested in Blake. And I'm not sure if the connection is genuine or not, because there was an interaction. I think they were going to look at the rooms, and the way Blake kind of sidestepped her and walked past just didn't look warm to me. And looking at how all the couples, how some of the couples interacted on the show, I think the least connected seemed to be, all right, other than the toxic trio that we're going to discuss, but I didn't see much warmth between Blake and Suanne. And I don't know why Suanne is still trying to pursue a connection with Anthony, because that connection was finished a long time ago, like from the crib date when she went to his house. That was kind of, I just don't think there's a romantic connection there. Maybe they get on in certain ways and they're friends, but I never saw any connection that was worth pursuing. Nowhere near as much as she likes Blake. She's already kissed Blake. I haven't seen anything go too far with her and Anthony. I like Anthony and Cynthia together. I've liked them together for a while. But yeah, Suanne did kind of shoot herself in the foot. I agree with that as well. But she had to pursue somebody else other than Blake. Nobody else had Suanne even remotely in the top 2 or top 3. In fact, I don't think I've heard her name called as a connection for anybody else. So yeah, I didn't get much else from that interaction, but I'm very much for Anthony and Cynthia hooking up.
Okay, so
sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I know it's a show, but I just don't feel like nobody should stay on the show. Like, they shouldn't sell people dreams just to stay on the show. Like, if it means you got to go home because you told someone the truth, then you probably just need to go home. I will say, with the Anthony and Suanne situation, I think 2 things can be true at the same time. Even if he would have shot his shot earlier, if you're locked in on a particular person, you're locked in. I don't think anything probably would have changed that, but perhaps she would have entertained Anthony a little bit. But also, it's kind of like, you can't just be pussyfooting around if you're a man and not shooting your shot and think someone's going to be waiting on you. That's just not a thing. Like, you have to show intention. And most women who are sure of themselves and have high self-esteem are not going to just wait around while you figure out how you feel about them. Absolutely not. So I think Anthony's better with Cynthia. He seems to have, he's he has shown more intention with Cynthia, so that's probably where he needs to be at.
Do you think Cynthia is into him?
Enough to continue to pursue. I say it like that. You know, I don't know how deep she is into him or whatnot, but out of her options on this show, she seems to be the most interested in. Well, he's the one she's the most interested in. So,
well, I look at the part where he came out the pool and went for the kiss straight away. That kind of signaled to me, and also their date a few weeks ago when he came around the corner and she was making all those comments about how fine he was. So I think they've been kind of dating in the background, probably haven't been toxic or crazy enough to show on the TV, but they probably had some talking time, had some dates. You know, so I think she's into him.
They kissed?
but not in this episode. It's a preview for.
It's a preview for the next week.
Okay.
So he comes out the pool, and she's sitting by the pool, and they just straight kiss, like, and it's a long one too, like a passionate one. So that doesn't just happen out of nowhere. I think that's been building for a little while, and yeah, like I think they've been solid for a while. It's just that they're not toxic, they're not crazy, they're not aggressive, so they don't get TV time.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think I now that you said it, I think I saw like it came on at the end, right? I don't know, something about them too. I don't see the chemistry, you know, and it could be me. I could just be not seeing something that's really there. But she seems to want to like Andre more, but like when she was sitting next to him on the couch, you saw her legs were, you know, tilted towards him, and you know, they had that conversation about him just being too much of a, well, this is my paraphrasing of it all, too much of a show pony, you know, too showy. But to me, I think she liked him. She liked him a little more. Can y'all not hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, somebody said in the comments they can't hear me.
No, I can hear you, so I'm not sure. But I feel like she do. Yeah, Kojo said he could hear you. Sean's to your point, I feel like she do like him, but I think it's just one of them situations she might favor Andre a bit more. But once you start seeing your connection or the person that you like start favoring other people more, you'll probably just back on up and just ride off with the other connection that you have. And if I'm seeing you run through the whole house after Jeffrey, I'm not going to keep denying somebody else that wants my attention if I still have some interest in them as well. You know, sometimes I can have a little bit more in you, but you might say something that's going to turn me off and I'm going to be on the next person. So that's how you end up cheating in relationships, when you have options and you find out like this other person is giving you something that you are lacking elsewhere. So this is kind of a situation where the cheating is a little bit open and stuff. So you don't stay on your A game through this whole process. Well, I'm off you. Just like with, you know, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but with Andre, with Mercedes, he come in walking into the house like, oh, we still have these highs and we lows. And he's talking like they're almost in a relationship already. Yet, because that one time that she didn't call him, he was totally off of her, you know, but he still likes her. He actually still favors her more than he favors the options he hasn't cut off, because there'd be no reason for you to come in the house speaking on her in that manner if that wasn't the case. You know, you just be, oh, we had our moment, but it didn't work out and now I moved on. But you cut for that girl. So
yeah, the problem is he said all of that only to put her in the bottom, in the bottom for up for elimination at the end, right?
Well, he's not about to eliminate his two, and we got to think we're only down to about 5 to 6 ladies. So I'm not.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So, like, he kind of said how they've been getting on well, and hopefully it stays that way. And they were like kind of playful and stuff. And then at the end of the episode, he's putting Mercedes down there for elimination. He
But
probably
been
has
cut
less
Mercedes,
connection
but
with
that's
other
my point,
people.
JR. He been cut Mercedes off because she wasn't on her A game for him. She wasn't on top of talking to him on a regular. The same as when
She's not feeling him.
Anthony basically cut Suanne off and vice versa, because neither one of them is on the top of their radar for the other person. So that's what I'm saying. In this case with Cynthia, Andre is not checking for her the way she might like, whereas she has Anthony doing that on a regular. And so why would I keep checking for somebody who's not checking for me? I'm gonna go for that person that's looking for me.
I agree. I agree with you. Listen, I don't know why Cynthia is still talking to Andre, because Andre's been lip servicing Jeffrey all through the retreat. When he went on the date, when he introduced both ladies to his friend, even though his friend gave him Cynthia as the best option to go for, he still hung in with Jeffrey. So Cynthia must have got the message, and she seems like a cool person. So she's not going to sit back and be toxic and crazy like some of the other castmates might be, because she doesn't seem to be possessive or anything. She's just going to naturally move on. So I agree. Now, Andre, to me, looks like a great match for Jeffrey. Like, I think the way that she, talks him up, inflates his ego, I think he really, really likes that. And, he's obviously attracted to her. And I think the way he makes her feel, if I would, like, Morgan's sitting there the whole time watching all these different interactions go on. So I'm sure when Jeffrey was in the pool with the leggings and all that stuff came out, like, they must have seen all of that stuff going on. They're not silly. So yeah, why waste her time thinking about Andre when she's got a better connection with Anthony? And and like I said, I probably think it's been building for a while. It's just not toxic and crazy, so it doesn't get the TV time for ratings.
So what do you think Cynthia meant, and this is for anybody, when she said that he's too showy, flashy?
Who is this? Andre?
Andre, she was talking about Andre, yeah.
Yeah,
like
he does come across that way. The way he, I would say he has a presence. He certainly has a presence. Dresses well. I haven't seen him flash jewels or diamonds or anything, but he seems like a very smart dresser. Despite the hair, he does look like he's well groomed. Maybe she's seen some things off camera, like the car he drives or whatever else he does. So, but it wouldn't surprise me if he is a flash guy.
Yeah, and somebody mentioned it in the comments, and I think that's a good point too. Kind of braggadocious when he was talking about the Forbes. I've been in Forbes and this, that, and the third. And what does he do for a living again?
I think he's just an entrepreneur. So who knows?
Is it something in the nightlife though? I thought he was something in the nightlife.
No, I think the Forbes magazine said that he had a vending machine of some kind.
Cannabis, that's right. He had a cannabis business.
Cannabis vending machine that made lots of money.
Well, clearly we have meandered onto a different couple, but that's okay. Yeah, I think it's worthy to just kind of talk about, because I don't feel like Cynthia is getting her just due, and I think she has so much to offer. Black, what up? I see you just joined us. You
While
there?
he's connecting, not sure. Why do you think that he's called Jeffrey? Since we're moving on, Jeffrey wife material and kind of omitted that statement for Cynthia. I thought that was interesting.
He said it a few times. I think that's just based on the connection that he has with her. He brings out a different side of Jeffrey, like, than she gives to anybody else. So maybe he sees her as the type of woman that he would want to settle down with, personality wise, from what she shows him. But he said it a few times. So, you know, and he's the only one that said that. So maybe just something that he sees.
Does Andre have money? Sorry, Faye, I'm about to go. I just want to know if does Andre have money?
Well, he said he was in the Forbes magazine. He's an entrepreneur. I don't know how well the cannabis vending machine did, but I would assume he has some money. Maybe he expanded the business a little bit.
Trying to get at something, but I'll let Faye go. Go ahead, Faye.
If he had money, I think it would be helpful for the hairstyle, because I feel like if you have money, you can kind of do whatever you want, you know. So maybe it's giving. I wear my hair like this, but I'm caked up, so you can't tell me nothing. But I was just gonna say, I think he kind of has one of those personalities where if he's really into someone, it's gonna be that person's gonna be everything, like wifey, the best thing since sliced bread, everything. And then when things are bad, it's like really bad. Because I really thought the whole Mercedes not checking in on him thing was just like he kind of OD'd on that whole situation. And he kept bringing it up like, oh, she didn't check on me and she didn't check on me. So, and if that was the one thing that just killed the whole connection, you know, I think it goes from 0 to 100, either on the really, really liking someone, you know, scale, or not liking them. So I think that's probably the reason for the wifey comment. I don't know if it's so much because that's what he sees, or if it's just, I'm just so into this person, you know, just really infatuated by her right now.
I think the hairstyle is very eccentric, and, you know, being poor and eccentric doesn't look good. So I think he must have the money to pull it off. Like, you know, can be a bit flamboyant and not get heckled or ribbed on, you know.
What?
Especially with the leaf in the back. He had a leaf in the back this time, like to add to all the rest of the stuff going on up here.
Yeah, what we not gonna do is disrespect the feather for a leaf. Okay, that's what we not gonna do. First of all, okay, little Pocahontas. If he want to run around like a little Chippewa all up in this daggone through this house, let him be. Okay. But I don't know how that equates to him having money to have this hairstyle. I'm just.
Yeah, that's what I was. Jay, you got right to it, because I wanted to understand that connection with him having money and that hair, because he ain't paying nobody to do that. And if he is, he should get a refund.
I think their point is that the only people who, you either have that hairstyle when you're young, or when you have enough money not to give a F about who talking about you and that hairstyle. And people, you know, the idea is that he got enough like FU money for to not to worry about what y'all think about that hairstyle. I was asking because Jeffrey ain't all over no man who ain't got no money. That's a woman with a plan. Whatever y'all want to say about her, you can say a lot of things, but she got a plan. And to me, there got to be a reason why she's all over Andre and done left Mark Anthony in that cute face, because a cute face when you ain't got no money ain't doing nothing for Jeffrey. So there has to be a reason why she's all over Andre and done put Mark Anthony to the side. So that's what I'm trying to get at, and it just hit me like this episode. I'm like, she really ain't checking for Mark Anthony like that. Like, it got to be a reason. So yeah.
I just want y'all to know that don't be fooled because there's struggling artists out here with crazy hairstyles and stuff. Y'all don't get out here thinking that he got a crazy hairstyle. Oh, he must have money and he don't give a F about what we think about it. Okay. I'm not saying counting that man pockets because I have no clue. All I'm saying is don't be fooled in these real streets. Y'all thinking y'all seeing these men with a little squiggly sitting like this in the front looking like a microphone or something. Don't do it. If he got antenna sprouting out, if he looked like cordyceps and protruded his body and are poking out, please do not mess with these people just because you think he might have money. Check the bank account first. That's all I am trying to say.
He could be like a fake it till you make it. You know, you got to kind of just give it off until you got it. Like he's on the way, but not there yet, but just embracing it. It could be that too. And I also do think he probably has something a little bit more for Jeffrey because I don't think she would be going. But then again, actually, I don't know. I might take that back a little bit because I do feel like she had quite a few connections early on. I feel like she liked people that just liked her. She was really into being wanted and that attention. So anybody giving her the attention, she was kind of reciprocating. And right now, Andre is giving her the most attention. So, I mean, it could be money, maybe not. But Mark Anthony kind of be playing, and I don't think she likes that. I think she likes, you know, someone to be really all about her. And Andre's been giving that to her. Whereas Mark Anthony is kind of like, I mean, I'm attracted to you, but you do got them kids. And then he'll just run over to Mercedes. So I don't know.
Andre is holding Mercedes in that tight in that back pocket. He ain't really trying to totally let her go or whatever. But, you know, that's another story for another day. Y'all just want to go around the fact that these two people, and I'm not trying to be in grown people's bedrooms like that, but they giving me truly smashed vibes. Okay, I'm sorry. Ain't no way y'all up here doing the most. But I do see what Seaway is saying. She is a woman with a plan because ain't no way I'm walking to jacuzzi with the idea of just dipping my toes in and I got full leggings on. And as soon as he sit there and say, what are we doing? I jump my whole body up in the daggone jacuzzi and sit on his lap. Ain't no way unless I got me a whole plan on. I got to give him a little bit more right now. So, yes, Seaway, I agree with you on that. Like, she's definitely a woman with a mission. And it came through in this episode.
Right, because people say, why can't she just like him? It's beyond liking him. She's put on a full court press. It's not just liking. She's trying to show that she's feminine, submissive, sexual, sensual. She's giving every side she got. And maybe I just read the room, but if you giving everything you got, that man must got something. She ain't doing that for just anybody because she ain't put that full court press on Mark Anthony. She has not done it. She has not done it. So he definitely got some change doing something that I think will be very beneficial to her family if she could go ahead and seal the deal. And he ain't got no kids, so he could just come in as a ready, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, I see it.
Now, what about his legacy? Because he want to have a legacy. He told us today about his legacy that he's building. Is she's gonna have more kids?
She looked like she would. She gifted one. Why can't she gift a couple more?
But we got to factor in her Crohn's and all that stress that pregnancy puts on your body and all this stuff out of her words. But granted, she never told, as far as we seen, Andre this, so he might not know of the Crohn's yet. So,
and she had Crohn's probably the whole time she had the mother kids. I mean, sometimes autoimmune diseases come later, but
that's what I'm saying. But if you don't want to put that stress on your body. I don't know what the first 3 pregnancies was like. Maybe she's gifting them because they were so easy. You know, some women do have easy pregnancies, bless their heart. But, you know, for those of us that go through morning sickness damn near the whole pregnancy or whatnot, that's a lot of stress. That vomiting until you at the acid part of it, that's a lot of stress. So do you really want to give this man a legacy, or you want your kids to be his legacy? Your already made kids. And that's another question.
I think that's a deep question there.
Yeah, I think 2 things. I think if I recall correctly, what he actually said in the pool was, you know, competition's getting a bit tight now. Somebody's going home. That's when she got into the pool with the leggings, then came over to him, then they kissed, and then the confessional was, I don't know how we kissed. I really don't know how we got here. So we know how you got there, because you heard eliminations coming up. So you wanted to shore up your bet. And the leggings in the pool might have actually prevented another gift. You see?
What? Now wait. Well, first of all, you're gonna take a shot at Jeffrey if you don't do anything else.
No. I'm saying, why else would
you don't miss a shot at Jeffrey
you
ever.
You didn't trip in the pool. You actually consciously, cognitively stepped into the water, waded over to my man, sat on his lap, kissed him. That was purely intentional.
Wait, slow down, kissed it. Like, slow down, JR. Slow down, kissed him.
All right, sorry. All right, yeah.
That was a reach. That was a reach. You said she
knew elimination, so she said, "This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna jump up in this hot tub, this pool with my leggings on. This is gonna seal the deal for me." Now,
JR can't even say that with a straight face.
Like, he was resting, chilling, talking about, yeah, Jeffrey, you know. And like, so he didn't go nowhere. He didn't even meet her halfway. It wasn't a mutual thing. He was sitting there like, Jeffrey, you know, someone's gonna go home and it's getting tight. And then splash. And then she came over and they embraced. Nothing wrong with it though. Like I said, I actually like the connection between them two, but let's call it what it is. He was mentioning elimination and she thought, okay, I better get in. She probably didn't have any intention before, but that
this
JR, do the voice.
Do the voice again. Yeah.
Please, JR.
Joffrey. I really like our connection, your wife. You know.
No, but you gotta do the scene in total where she says, "You're sitting too far." Go ahead.
I can't go that high at the moment. I sound like an earthquake right now.
Oh yeah, that's. Go ahead.
I was just saying, JR gave us a whole ghetto conspiracy theory. I have no idea what that was.
Yeah, he was taking a couple cliff dives, Seaway. He just did a couple cliff dives without his parachute, going from the elimination to why she jumped into the pool with her tights on, you know, her leggings on. But yeah.
She went in a full-fledged scuba outfit though. Like she got her whole wetsuit on in the jacuzzi. I'm not playing with y'all tonight. I can't.
Too funny. She has those. Is that purity beads that she wears around her waist?
Waist beads was in for a minute, so I think she's still on it.
She's carrying it on. Oh, let's circle back to the first lady. JR, you get a big kick out of this. You know, so Jeffrey and Morgan were in the car ride heading up to this swamp vacation that Tommy sent them on. And what happened to First Lady talking about I'm peaceful and I'm a believer, and she's ready to shout and quicken and talking about BDE and big BITCH energy. Where's the First Ladies at with this commentary?
Listen, where was the voice? The voice was changed in the car when she was with Morgan. That sounded more like a normal voice. It wasn't the Kardashian socialite type thing that we've been accustomed to hearing. Maybe it's because she was with her homegirl and she felt more relaxed.
Exactly. But when she we got a voice for when we're with the homegirls. We got a voice that when we are with our man. We got a phone voice. We got different voices, you know what I'm saying? Just in case we don't want our man to get tired. So we got to switch it up a little time. Sometimes we have to talk like this and hope that we get babied a little bit, like, JR, could you feed me like small bites, please? Thank you. I love you. And see, we get that. You see that smile you got on your face, JR? We get that love. You got you. You can't be raspy like me all the time. Then they be thinking you a man on the phone and stuff. Like, bro, put your sister on the phone. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Jay, I think you win the best Jeffrey impersonation. It's all you now going forward.
Definitely.
You got to do that again. What about the pool scene? What did you think of the pool scene? I know JR is all the way to the left with his theory about her trying not to get eliminated, but what'd you think of that little kiss that they had and all this pecking they keep doing?
I don't know if there's much to say about it other than just, I mean, she's trying to secure, you know, maybe the bag, ? Or just the guy. I mean, I know she wants to I think she's like an actress or an aspiring actress, voiceover person or something like that. So I feel like this is exposure for her. So she definitely wants to make it to the end. And she's trying to make sure she does that.
Aspiring actress? Did I miss that?
yeah, all last week. I told you on her bio it says personality, something personality, TV personality on her bio. She has voiceover clips. That's why JR keeps referring to that, because she has voiceover clips and she's done two like gigs or whatever. Because if you search on IMDb, she's on there.
Oh, okay, go ahead, Jeffrey.
So.
Well, I'm tired of them kisses. I don't want to see any more kisses. I feel like Kirsten from Married at First Sight. You know, I don't kiss good, and I don't want to see kisses. So that's how I feel about that. I'm really sick of their kisses.
I feel a trigger, Sean. Or you sound like my coach at basketball at college. Talk about no PDA. I don't want to see y'all hold hands. I don't want to see y'all.
I don't mind a little PDA. It just seems forced. Like, I thought Mark Anthony and Mercedes, they, you know, when they had their little kisses in the past, it just seemed like it was real and genuine. This just seems cringeworthy a little bit. But, you know, look, if they are in love, I'm not, you know, let me not stand in their way.
Wait, are we still talking about Jeffrey and Andre?
Yeah.
No, their kisses are authentic. Like, I mean, they kissed in the room when you know, they embraced. They kissed. Where else did they kiss? I mean, they kissed pretty much most of the scenes they were in, like at least 2 or 3 times. I think it's a genuine connection. I really think that is probably the best match for either one of them. Like, I can't hate on the match. They have that chemistry.
Huh? You're rooting for them, huh, JR?
Yeah, I mean, there's a cap for every bottle, right? And maybe they fit. Maybe they work out.
That was a great analogy as well. I like that. I mean, I personally think, you know, well, by the way, guys, thank you for inviting me to the panel. I really do appreciate the opportunity to talk to you guys.
Invite you to the panel at your own house, huh?
I've been waiting to get on these panels for so long, so I appreciate you guys, honestly. But you know, hi Seaway, hey Jay, hey Jar, hey Sean, hey Faye. But no, listen, I think with Andre and Jeffrey, you know, I think Andre is the next person on the hit list. Okay, so Andre is going to have his own show after Surviving Jeffrey. He's on the next one on the hit list. Okay, because listen, and I agree with what CEO was saying in the run. She dodged Mark Anthony today like there was no tomorrow. She dodged him so hard, Mark Anthony fell into Mercedes' lap. Like, that's how bad she dodged him. Like, it was so bad. And so, you know, I think, you know, her and Andre, they make a nice little cute couple. I think they'll last a few months, maybe give or take, you know what I mean? Then the kids hit, and then we'll see what happens as well, and see how he deals with that. But personally, I just think it's sexual tension. You know, I mean, he did call her wife. He called her wife material, though. So clearly he sees something that we ain't seen that the cameras are picked up. So shout out to Andre. You took one for the team, and we appreciate you. That's my little sense.
He's seen them inner viscers. How your boy MTR says.
No way, Jay. You.
It's gonna have to be edited too. Look, get your editing pro out. Kojo. Cut.
Not the inner
Kojo has
biscuits.
a lot of editing to do.
MTR.
for this live.
You got so much editing to do.
He just got to take the whole thing down and do reels.
Cut this. Take this down. Let's start over.
Y'all, by the time we finish, Kojo ain't gonna be able to interview none of them. None of them ain't gonna come on this channel.
Jay, you weren't even drinking today.
Allegedly. I know. I haven't been. I might need it. I need it.
I had too many
allegedly speaking, these are not the thoughts of Kojo. This is not the thoughts of me either. This is my inner thoughts alone and those alone.
Somebody
but
said
some women know how to put their best foot forward, though. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of women that know how to put their best foot forward and will kind of like, get you there without showing their, real self. I'm more of like a Cadian type. Like, you're going to know me from the beginning and then know, like, hey, do you want to deal with this or not? Like, you're going to get straightforward with me. I'm not saying I am Cadian. I'm saying you're going to get what you see is what you get. But I think Jeffrey is putting her best foot forward. But I'll say if Andre was already crying because Mercedes didn't check on him, he ain't seen no tears when the real Jeffrey stand up. I don't know what the real Jeffrey is, but when she stand up, Andre gonna be crying for real. If he already crying because Mercedes didn't call him when he didn't call her to let her know he had COVID, he called Tommy. So he shouldn't have been crying no way. So I don't know if I'm gonna go as far as surviving Jeffrey. I'm not as far as JR and Kojo are, but I don't think Andre has seen the real Jeffrey at all whatsoever. But I don't think those kisses were cringy. I got real sexual attention from the screen. I didn't mind their kisses. I get awkward from Mercedes and Mark Anthony. Still, I don't know. Their kisses are, I don't know, they're kind of awkward. But Jeffrey and Andre, no, that I ain't saying Jay right, but I'm saying they know each other.
Them kisses look real familiar. I think it just makes it creepy because the cameraman is like on an NFL play while we zooming in slowly and stuff. He's making us feel some type of way. We look like we shouldn't be there. You know how your parents be doing some stuff and you be like, oops, I'm sorry, I walked into the wrong room, but you ain't walked out yet. That's what Sean was feeling. That's what that was.
Yeah, what do you think? I think when it comes to Andre, right, and his whole thing with Mercedes, I think he really likes her, but he's mad that she's not giving him the time of day. And that's what I think, because every time, I mean, listen, he's been out of quarantine for weeks now, and every chance he gets, he looks for an opportunity to talk about her, not reaching out to him. And then he was like, we have this whole cat and mouse or up and down game going on. I think he really likes her. Like, if he had his way, it would be Mercedes. But because she's, iced him out, ain't giving him the time of day, is booed up with Mark Anthony, yeah, he's feeling some type of way. Andre got a little bit of petty in him. What y'all think?
I agree. I think if she was showing him some attention, he would definitely go for it. I think he was even trying to rekindle it a little bit when they got to the house by saying, oh, we have this up and down relationship. Like, it's not up and down. It's been like nothing. And then she just made a couple jokes with you. And then now you're thinking everything could, I think he was, kind of playing that up a little bit and thought maybe they could get back a little bit of the connection. And then she just kind of shut that down. So once she shut it down again, he was just like, all right, I'm gonna leave it alone. But I think if she did give him some play, he would definitely be into it. I think Andre just really likes someone to like him, like really be into him. And I think they're a good match for the show, but in real life, it's kind of scary because you don't really, I don't know, when two people get really like fall fast and just be all into each other like that, I feel like it can definitely bring in some of the toxic, really concerning type behaviors that can happen between two people when you get people that fall hard and fast like that, or just get really super infatuated. And then I kind of agree with the take that, Andre's in for a ride. with Jeffrey, and he doesn't even know it yet. But she will spin him around for real, and he will for real be sad and feeling a type of way for real. So he needs to tread lightly and be careful. Hopefully he just keeps it surface level, but if they go really deep, he's gonna come out hurting bad.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he can keep it surface because she jumped into the pool literally with her clothes on. So, and in the car, she was talking about, and again, I'm gonna leave it to Jay to do the voice. I'm never gonna do that voice again because I won't do it justice. But yeah, she was talking how much in love she is, and she just loses herself every time she sees him. And she's so torn because the two of them, Andre and Mark Anthony, they're so different. But then she made a point. She was like, there's like they're in the same boat because there's one that she wants, but one that she needs. So between the two of them, who's the one that she wants and who's the one that she needs?
It's giving acting script for that part. Because
like and scene. Look,
Listen,
Jeffrey's like the girls, like if you ever been to Atlanta, like them girls in the strip club will sell anybody a dream, like man, woman, whoever. Like they will really have you feeling like they love you. I even had a stripper tell me a med school story, telling me that she was going to med school and like we would be helping her get to med school. Like my thing is, Jeffrey just reminds me like the girls in the Atlanta strip club. Like they really will just tell you anything, anything, and people like believe it. You know what I mean? Jeffrey's not new to this; she's true to this, and I think that's why a lot of I know Jeffrey like pisses people off, but I think people are also mad. Like I think there's a lot of people who are mad that she gets away with this, and they're like mad at it. But at this point, I challenge people: just don't hate the player, hate the game.
listen,
I know y'all don't want to see it. Y'all don't want to see it.
Listen, we have to realize that Andre is a fully grown man. All right. If he wants to be spun around, if he wants to be spun around and spun a web, he knows the risk he's taking. And I think he just really likes her. He brings out a different side of her maybe it won't go pear-shaped. Maybe they will have fun dates, lots of kisses, lots of affection and all the other stuff, and any crazy toxic stuff might not materialize for a while. He's already stated multiple times he sees her as a wife. That's a lot further than you would go for someone who is just a fleeting connection, right? And I don't buy him liking Mercedes that much. He's just hurt that she didn't check for him because he expected all the castmates to check for him, especially the ladies. And she didn't. So he's butthurt about that, right? I don't think he's feeling Mercedes at all. Where is she going to fit in the pecking order? He's got Jeffrey, who he says is a wife. Cynthia, who he covered at the beginning when she told her story. And then he's kept her like she still interests him. He doesn't talk about Mercedes like above any of those two connections from what we've seen. So, third place, he ain't got room. We're narrowing down connections now, as he said in the pool. Like he ain't gonna have nothing going with Mercedes, man. She too boring for him.
Do we need to remind you that out of nowhere he was highly mad? Out of nowhere for us, he was highly mad at Mercedes. We only seen him with Jeffrey. We only seen him with Cynthia. We never heard of a connection with Mercedes until he came back, and he was highly mad with Mercedes that he even had a highlighter in front of the group and then pulled her to the side again. You do not have feelings for a person and do all of that with them. She would have fit into number one had she been on top of choosing him. That's why I said he swayed over to Jeffrey, because Jeffrey's been showing him constant attention. He even left Cynthia because Jeffrey's been showing constant attention. That's the thing. When we get out of this space where I have to show you constant attention, then what? Because right now, everybody can show constant attention to these people they choose to. And that's what he's picking up on. You can choose to show me the constant attention, but you didn't. And that hurt me. So I'm moving on to the person that did it. My question is, if that's not who you feel is somewhere where you ranked in your head and you're number one, regardless if you say it to the rest of the cast or not, that you don't have a connection to that person, why would I even stay in a room across from you? He made sure not to move to even be like, give me one of your socks so I can leave it in your room. Like, leave your stuff in the room. Take your shirt off and leave it in the room. Why are you asking for my sock to leave in the room across the hall from me? When your connections are over there, you should be staying in a room next to your connection. So you're even doing that for one or two things, if not both. One is to sit there and keep tabs on me to see what I'm doing, who's coming in and out of my room. And two, for me to see who's going in and out of your room. Why would you be across the hall from me if I'm not something that you want to be around, to see anymore? Because I didn't give you attention unless you want me to see you all the time.
Yeah, I would believe that if he wasn't kissing on Jeffrey every 5 minutes in the episode. Like,
if your room is next door to me,
yeah,
and I want you to be mad. I understand everybody don't do dark arts, but if your room is next door to me and I want you to be mad, of course I'm going to have another person in my room to make you jealous say this could be you. Some people think like this. They think in that regards of, I need to show you what you're missing out on. That's
true, but she ain't missing out on nothing because she doesn't have a connection with him. And
in her mind, she's not worried about him.
Mercedes, there was a clip where she was in full bikini, thonkini, whatever it was, jumping up on Mark Anthony in the hammock, having a little playtime. I don't know if you caught that clip. Like, while Andre's getting his groove on with Jeffrey, Mercedes ain't thinking about him. She doesn't. This is the problem. As much as he liked her, she didn't feel him as a connection, which is why she didn't call him while he was sick. She got on with the process. She didn't miss him. She moved on. Mark Anthony's got her attention and has been consistent the whole time. She shut down Anthony for the same reason. Maybe Anthony thought there could have been something there, and she was like, "No, I don't see it." Maybe not in those words, but she was like, "No, you're too accomplished for me." So it has to be mutual. Has to be her feeling.
It don't have to be mutual, because it's not mutual. That's what we agree, that she doesn't like Andre the way that Andre likes her. Andre likes her. That would be a person that Andre would actually go for outside of this. When you come into a situation and say stuff, we have our ups, we have our downs. Right now we're on a good and I want us to stay on a good. That's not a friendship conversation that we're really having right now. This is somebody that I am trying to get along with, I would like to be with or whatnot, but we're always hit and miss. This is a friend that I would like to go more with. And that's what he really likes about it. I think that he really likes that they actually have a genuine friendship, that they have something real underneath all of this. But do she see him in the way he wants her to be seen, the way he wants to be seen? No, because he wants constant attention from whoever he's with. He wants to be the desirable one in the relationship, and she's not desiring him in that fashion.
Yeah, that's exactly my point. I agree with you 100%. She's not giving him the attention because she's not feeling him. So it doesn't matter what he wants. Like, he could want all of the ladies to like him. The fact of the matter is, there's only going to be a few. All right. Now, Mercedes, for whatever her reasons are, has chosen to not give him the attention and not play in our faces and not fake a connection with him. She just isn't interested in him, and he has to deal with that. Stop thinking about her, focus on his potential wife and his second connection. Like, talking about Mercedes, for me, I'm still thinking, you know what, bro, you're just butthurt, bruv. Move on. Like, rejection is part of the game as well. You can't have everything you want. You got Jeffrey already. Your plate's already full. Like, while you're kissing on Jeffrey in the pool and all those other things, Mercedes out here with Mark Anthony. So, like, done it. It's finished. Like all that stuff that he was talking about. Yeah, well, you know, when we're good, it's good, and I hope it stays that way. And then, listen, at the end, when he put her in the bottom for having no connection with her, that's what I'm going off. There ain't no, listen, he's butthurt because the attention that he's seeking, he cannot get from her. That's all it is. She's not a fan.
JR, I think you're missing something. I think what's going on with Andre is he's playing the long game. Him trying to send her home is the ego thing, but it's also a long game because he doesn't want her here with Mark Anthony anyway. You know what I'm saying? He's the type of person who he has like that Yo Gotti vibe. Like he wants the people who don't want him. And the more they don't want him, the more he's going to try. So yes, he's entertaining Jeffrey because why not? She's pretty. She's into him. They have a vibe. But I believe that when Mark Anthony plays Mercedes, because he probably will, because when the show is over, he's going to go back to doing what he's been doing. Andre's going to keep playing the long game. And he's going to try to get at Mercedes. And then when he finally gets her, he may act a fool. Or this may be the person he's supposed to be with if he actually gets her. And you never know. A lot of times the long game with women works. Mercedes may not want him now because she sees his little squiggly thing and because he was crying about that COVID and da-da-da. But when she sees her pretty boy don't come through, she may start peeking around the corner at Andre and be like, okay, I see you with Mr. Forbes. I see you with your money. I see you with your business, Mr. Entrepreneur. Okay, let me give you a shot. Maybe you stop crying, I'll entertain you. And then there you go. She probably just wants him to stop crying. I know y'all want to be able to express y'all emotions. I know y'all say this on your men's panel all the time, but I'm just saying we really don't want that. But yeah. So I think that's what's gonna happen. So I think JR, that's what you're missing. It's a long game here.
Also, just real quick, do you really think he means wifey material? Like, you think that's a genuine sentiment from him? Like, I really feel like he's just really a dramatic person. Like, I really don't think, like, in reality, I don't think that's what he means. But I could be wrong.
I think that's something they both have in common. All right, they kind of they pump each other up, they hype each other up. When she hears wife, you know, we've heard recently of her saying things like, everybody said I'm a wife. So, you know, him giving her that, putting her on that level, it gives her an air of superiority amongst the other castmates. And she kind of does the same for him. She doesn't say, I don't think she said husband, but she definitely makes him feel like he is the guy that she has that special connection with. So it's definitely ego inflation on both sides. And that could be one of the reasons why they've chosen each other so strongly.
I mean, personally, I think there's something deeper between Jeffrey and Mercedes that we didn't get to see. Personally, I'm not saying that Andre ain't, you know, doesn't like people that doesn't want him, but clearly it was something that was deeper because this guy's been saying she was number one from the very top. So what happened? Something happened. I don't know what happened. I don't know. They didn't, because obviously they didn't show us everything that was going on. So there must have been some kind of conversation to give him an impression that he can make Mercedes number one. Do you know what I'm saying? So, you know, she might have been giving him a little bit of attention here and there. And, you know, that's what made him number one. Now, I already said this about the Mercedes situation. That woman has one eye and one eye only. It is for Mark Anthony and has been since the very beginning. That will be her downfall in life. Lady, listen to me, Mercedes. I like your energy. I do. But being solely focused on Mark Anthony from the beginning to the end, that is going to end in your downfall. You understand what I'm saying? Like, she had no one else in mind. That's why she didn't have to check up on Andre, because literally she can't play the game. She told us this episode she can't play the game. She doesn't know how to play the game. So she just beams for the person who she wants, and that's it. Do you get me? So anybody else in the midst of that, that's why, you know, Lyndon got cut off. That's why Anthony got cut off. I mean, he didn't really get cut off, but he was cut off. And Andre was cut off. Well, she didn't think he was coming back. She didn't have to cut him off. Do you know what I'm saying? So for her, she had deaded everybody else. It was Mark Anthony or nothing. And that's also going to be her biggest problem in dating field, because she's got this sweet energy that makes you, you know, that people really, really like. But you've also got that energy where it's like, I can only deal with one person at a go. And once I stick on them, I stick on them. And when you're like that, you easily get played in the dating field, because you've got to be able to hold back some of yourself and be like, okay, I like this person, but you know what? I'm gonna keep myself open. If I'm honest with you, she barely kept any doors open. The Anthony one, that's because Anthony's foot's in the door, not because she didn't close it. She closed it and Anthony put his foot in the door. That's the only reason why the connection is still going on. Other than that, she beelining for Mark Anthony and Mark Anthony only. And then, Mark Anthony, he told her as a joke, "You look like my ex-wife." Now, I don't know about you guys, but if any band tells you as a joke that you look like their future ex-wife, know that you're going to be an ex-wife. Okay? Just saying. I don't leave that there.
Well, listen, I feel like Mercedes has just the type of energy that I like. I have to be more moderate today. Otherwise, I would do a little bit more tussling from Seaway's earlier comment. But, what I am going to say is that, I love that if she likes you, you're going to know it. There's no mystery. There's no waiting around to see anything else. She's going to, she's definitely going to give you that energy. So I really happen to enjoy that. For me, it's giving good girl vibes in terms of, how she conducts herself. And that is very appealing, to me, where she was like, I don't know how people do it. When it comes to, dating multiple people, she was like, if I like somebody, I'm just going to, work with that particular person. Now, again, I understand in this process, it's definitely not ideal. But in general, that is very appealing to me, because you know where you stand with her. And I like that she was upfront. Look, Anthony, it was a no. Andre, bro, I'm sure even if he didn't get, the virus, I'm sure she would have just, and I'm going to correct that because that could sound like something else. If he didn't get the vid, she probably would have just gracefully found a way to, bid him adieu. So, yeah, I happen to really like her energy, and that her speed, her level is just up my alley. It's just appealing because you're never going to know. You're always going to know where you stand with her.
I'm here with you on that, Sean. On the side that Kojo speaking of, that dark art side, when you find people that are not like you, Sean, that are like dabbling into their Playboy era still and stuff and want to be doing the most out here with women's hearts. And I'm not going to just say women, because this goes on both sides. There's some men that are like Mercedes that are straightforward, tell you the truth, and they just really genuinely want something. But when you find people that are in dark arts, that translates to us in those times as loyalty. Meaning I could do whatever to you and you'll still be there. I was on that side where Mercedes was on before, and I've had men sit there and tell me, I would never think that you will leave. So in their mind, it's I would do whatever to you, but the way you respond to me makes me feel like you'll stick around, you'll be loyal to me. And that's where Kojo's saying in the world out here, in this real world, some of these F-boys will latch on to you because they, in their mind, that translates to, oh, you're a ride or die. You're a loyal person. You lock on to me, so we're stuck together, whatever. And no matter what I do, you're going to be there. And so she has to protect herself and some of her energy from people like that. So she can't just be all sold in, or at least make them feel like they all sold in until she's sure that they are a decent person for her.
So how would the ladies feel about being referred to as a future ex-wife?
I'm going to answer this. At that time, when I was in the world or whatever, and just being me, it was cute. But to be in a healed space, in a better space and frame of mind to understand that's a negative trope on us moving forward. That's not who I want to cater to, because you already got ill will for the whole relationship, meaning that you already telling me you're not going to do me right. Yeah, that's not what I want to hear. I don't want to hear about I'm being your ex-wife. Like, if you're not even serious about me being your wife, don't even put wife in your mouth with me. I'm not trying to be wifey material. I'm not trying to be none of that unless you actually have a plan for me to be that in your life. So don't present me with none of that anymore. But back in the day, oh yeah, that was cute. I'm his future ex-wife. I bring him peace and stuff. And so he feeds me baby bites. yeah, I'm just in a better space now. So I'm grown. My voice has developed and everything, and so now I want more.
Jay,
Okay,
you
so
are on one.
quick
I love it.
question.
Wait,
So,
JR, you done moved on. We got to get the rest of the ladies
all
to
right,
tell
yeah,
their
go ahead.
opinion
Yeah,
about
go on,
future
Terry. Sorry,
ex-wife.
my bad.
JR attention span is real short today. I don't have an opinion. This is my first time hearing that statement, and I thought it was ridiculous. And I just thought that's exactly what she's gonna be if she even makes it that far. So my future ex-wife, I've never heard of it. Maybe y'all can inform me if that's like a saying. And Jay, you said you may heard of it before. I never heard of it. So thought that was
Yeah,
odd.
I heard it before. Yeah, I definitely have heard it before.
Okay.
I think people say it like jokingly to mean like, I like you enough to wife you, but I don't know if we're gonna make it, like that, like it's cute, but it's like, yeah, I don't like that, healed Faye, healed Jay. We don't like that. It's not cute. I don't want you to like me for now and then throw me away later or even joke about it. But it's a little cutesy remark, I guess.
So it's cute till we start singing winter songs. Sign my papers.
It's
cute up
to get your divorce, right? That's what it's different. It hits different. That song is a hit.
Funny games. I know. That's what I'm saying. It's all funny games until we got to start bopping to that for real.
Oh man.
Wait, JR, so what were you gonna say? We done.
Now you don't want to talk.
No, I was gonna say, so we've had Mr. Andre referred to Jeffrey as the wife, right? We've had Mark Anthony referred to Mercedes as his future ex-wife. Which do you have more of a problem with? That's to the ladies.
I'm confused.
Well, basically, we said that the consensus was that Andre is really talking a lot of fluff to Jeffrey about actually being a wife, right? And Mark Anthony, when he said my future ex-wife to Mercedes, we're now breaking that down as being like a backhanded compliment type thing, right? So which do you think was worse?
Did Andre call Jeffrey wifey material to her face, or was that like a confessional? Was that?
He said it to, I think he said it in a confessional, maybe more than once. He said it on a few episodes, and he also, I think, said it to his friend.
To his friend, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like the ex-wife is definitely worse, but I don't know. The wifey material thing is just kind of played out in general to me. Like, that's not somebody saying, oh, you're wifey material. It doesn't move me. Like, so in general, I don't necessarily have a problem with it, but I don't like the comment for Mercedes of the future ex-wife. I think he was being cute about it, but I thought it was a bit insulting. I think she really is a catch. So even though she's at a different stage in her life where she's maybe not ready for something super, super serious, I still think it was kind of a diss, like a low key, I wouldn't have taken a liking to it personally. So.
I think that was the straight game, to be honest. You get me? If a man says to you that you look like my future ex-wife, just know you're good to have sex with and you're good to probably have as a girlfriend, but I would never take you seriously as a wife because really and truly, you're going to end up as one of my exes. That's just the reality of the situation. It's honestly like when people make jokes like that. I've made similar jokes like that. Maybe not wife. I've said like, oh, you look like my ex-girlfriend or you look like my future ex-girlfriend or whatever, right? What you're really saying is, I'm willing to. I want to be in the here. I want to here. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying nothing of worth to you. Really, what I'm saying to you is, I want to be inside of you, and that's all I'm really trying to offer you. You know what I mean? I'm not concerned about commitment with you, because a man that is really intentional about being committed to you, don't make them kind of jokes. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to joke about that kind of stuff. Do you see what I'm saying? So saying them kind of things like, if I'm, and again, making jokes about, just making them kind of jokes, it proves how unserious he is about Mercedes. And the fact that Mercedes laughed and went and hugged him after tells me that she's not really aware of the game. And it's like she needs to be, again, that naivete, that greenness. It's a really cute thing. But if you find yourselves in the hands of a wolf, baby, you just become prey. And that's what Mark Anthony is looking at Mercedes. And actually, that's the reason why he doesn't like her. She's too green, too naive. There's no spunk. There's no edge to her. So it's all too easy. Do you know what I mean? I need a little bit of spunk about you, a little bit of something about you. So, that's him just playing a game. But I would never call someone that I actually wanted to wife, you look like my future ex-wife. It's just a joke I just would never say. But when I'm in here trying to get the inner viscards, then yes, absolutely. I may do that if I want to get inside the poussoir. Yeah, I may do that.
Can I answer
I'm
JR's
gonna throw a
question
curve.
real quick?
Go
I'm
ahead.
going to answer JR's question real quick. To me, neither one of them is really great. If I'm wifey material, that doesn't make me a wife to you, or you look at me as a wife. You just looked at my qualities, that the attributes that I bring, or my characteristics as somebody to be married someday. But that doesn't make me your wife. And to say that I'm your ex-wife is still playing in my game. Both of those are just a tactic to go ahead and try to get inside of my goodies and whatnot. And that's really all it is. It's just a matter of which way you're going to melt the panties off of me. Which way. So if in my childish days, yes, white ex-wife, because I wasn't serious about you either. So yeah, okay, we can get married, do all the marital things or whatever, and we move on. And to say wifey material, well, yes, I know my qualities already. Thank you for noticing them. But do you see me as your wife? So that's why I said earlier, if you don't have a plan for me now, we don't need to waste each other's time. If you don't see me as something in your future going down for the rest of whatever time we have left on this earth, then okay, we can be friends. We're moving on. I'm good, Sean. Go ahead.
Yeah, I know it's not exactly the same thing, but it just stuck out in my mind. You remember when Clifton at the reunion got down on bended knee and gave Joy a key? And look, they get married today. He wound up proposing for real, right? But some people felt the same way about that, in the sense of you don't play with certain things, right? Like if you get down on bended knee, you better give me a ring, right? That's what some of the ladies were saying. Don't play and give me a key. You could give me a key, but don't get down on bended knee and, kind of give a halfway proposal speech, So it could be, might just be, just his little way of toying around inappropriate humor.
I think the difference between the key thing, though, is that we know that Joy was toying with this idea when it comes to marriage anyway. So for her, this key thing was not a big thing for her. You know what I mean? Like the marriage thing, we saw how difficult it was for her to even want to even get the marriage situation going on. I think that the difference here between I'm thinking in my dark arts mindset, right? It's psychological. If I say you look like my ex, you look like my future ex-wife, what the person actually hears is not the ex part. They hear the wife. So it's like, oh, he's willing to even wife me and marry me. You don't hear the ex before. It's psychological. So all you're hearing is excitement behind the wife part of the statement, but the person misses the ex part. Which is why I'm saying that if you're really about the game, how that comment goes across. It's like if I say to a girl, look, you're looking like my next ex-girlfriend. What she's hearing is the next girlfriend part. She doesn't hear the ex part, because that's the psychological warfare of when you're doing that statement. It's you're supposed to miss that ex part and make you think, oh, he's thinking about it, because in order to be ex-girlfriend, I have to make you a girlfriend. Do you see what I'm saying? So the mind reads into the statement, oh, girlfriend or wife, but the reality is what I just said was I'm really not serious about the future. Like, I feel like we're not gonna last. That's why I'm saying what I'm saying. Like, that's why I said that it's a dangerous statement to make, and he would never make that. Why didn't he make that joke with Jeffrey? He never made that joke with Jeffrey. Why is he not making that statement with any other girl? He's making up Mercedes because, like Jay was saying, Mercedes is foolish enough to play the game with him and is giving off the energy that she will take whatever he gives her because he's that good looking. He's that nice to her. She likes him that much. You know what I mean? So it's just me. Maybe my dark arts mindset just thinks that way. But you know, I've those words, they're very tricky. Trust me. Sorry, sorry.
No, I say the same thing. When I say that to a guy, like, oh, you look like a future ex or whatever and stuff, that's where I'm at with it. Like, I'm not thinking long term with you. I'm thinking like, if you're gonna let me do whatever I want to do with you, I'm gonna do it. And then, you know, when we done, I already gave you the disclaimer. I already let you know what you was gonna be. Don't look for nothing more. So that's really what it's telling you now. It could be a joke and whatever, and so and later down the road, you know, they can have a real relationship. But sometimes you still want to think back and say, well, what did you project out there a long time ago? Because if we get a divorce, I already called it. You know, sometimes you got to watch the energy that you push out there in the world if that's not really what you mean. So.
Well, that's actually why I asked the question, because in my opinion, both of them are just fluff. It's that whole word salad. It's that whole, I'm going to inflate your ego a little bit. You guys went to the dark art stuff. I don't know nothing about that. I just know that it is, in both occasions, it was just there to inflate the person's ego. Let's be real. The chances of success and actually finding a relationship that goes into real life after the cameras stop rolling, the stats are low. And when we look at the cast and we look at the chemistry, we dissect how they've interacted over the season and in every single episode. I like that some may make it to decision day, but going into real life, wife, or that type of, that's a long way off. None of them are getting married anytime soon. So when my man's talking about Jeffrey's a wife and all that, you know, it's just lip service, man. He not really thinking about proposing. He ain't thinking about getting engaged. He ain't thinking about none of that, because they have to do real life together first. He has to get to know the kids. He has to get to know, you know, they have to get to know him. They have to see how they gel, and then go through ups and downs for a while in that particular relationship that he might have off camera. Nothing worth about that right now. So, like I said, the reason why I think their connection is strong, Andre and Jeffrey, is because they both do the same thing. She talks to him like he's this man god, you know. She really inflates his ego, and he loves that. We said that he's quite needy. He needs attention. Jeffrey gives him the affirmations that he needs. All right. And he in return gives her like a level of reciprocity where he talks to her as if, or treats her as if he sees her as wife potential. And that's something she doesn't get from Mark Anthony. She don't get it from nobody else. It doesn't matter how many people she thinks she got a connection with. No one gives her the same affirmations that Andre does. Mark Anthony even said in the elimination part, when they were talking about their best and least connections, he said he's gravitated towards Mercedes more, but he still likes to feel on Jeffrey. So there ain't nothing serious about that connection there at all. Yeah, it's just something physical. It's not going beyond the shore or anything like that. But I think Mark Anthony and Mercedes have potential. Why? Because they have chemistry. That's the one thing that separates some of these couples from others. The fact that they have a natural chemistry, regardless of what they say about each other and all the other politics that go on in behind the scenes, chemistry when they get together is very valid. It's very important. And if I see chemistry, like I said, Andre and Jeffrey have chemistry. Mark Anthony and Mercedes have chemistry. Cynthia and Anthony have chemistry. Other than that, like, there's no other couples that have that. So they might make it to the end, but to talk about wife and all that other stuff, man, it's way too early. You don't know the person yet.
Well, Tyrone was talking about who he would marry, F, and kill. So
It wasn't marry, F, kill, Jay. My God.
all right, I translated it, but it was marry, girlfriend, and side chick. I don't remember what the 3 options was, but yeah.
And he got voted off very quickly.
Well, that was for other reasons too, but but that was way before they got to the house as well. That was way before they got to the house. By now, we should be, as far as the show is concerned, we should be trying to lock in on who we want. The house is the determining factor because you have no choice but to put it out there in front of your other options. So
exactly, and I agree, and that's why I was saying Mercedes is definitely not feeling Andre, because now is the time to be narrowing it down. Everybody's trying to streamline their connections. For some, it's going well, and they're able to avoid arguments and toxicity and madness. And then for others, they have only they're kind of sharing their connection with somebody else, and that's frustrating for them. But yeah, you're right. It's crunch time now. This is what the retreat brings. It brings a concentrated blast of everybody being around each other. You get to see how your connections interacting with everybody else. You're sitting at the dinner table after that. You're trying to sneak away for 5 minutes to see if you can get a conversation, maybe kiss or something like that. Then you have to go to bed with one of your connections or go to bed by yourself. You wake up the next day, you might be interrogated. Like, there's so many different things that happen in the retreat probably. So, it's a nightmare, but you should be really trying to streamline your connections by now.
Coach, you don't have any clips of that scene of Mark Anthony and Mercedes, do you? So I think we only have one couple left to talk about. Oh, good. I see you pulling up something.
Your girlfriend.
Which part did you want that clip?
Oh, the when they were hugged up in the kitchen. I think it's good for body language, as well as to see that comment, because I think that, this is my impression. Again, I know the comment was in poor taste and it could be, misinterpreted or come off like he has no intentions, right? But I see Mark Anthony is kind of like lighthearted and a little kind of like funny. I think he's a New Yorker too. So sometimes we have that like New York edge humor, right? And I know they say there's a little truth in every joke. I get it. But from what I see, I think it just could be a misplaced joke. Now that's not to mean that, he's ready to wife her. And you could go ahead. You could go ahead with the clip.
Ex-wife right now.
I've been told that one other time by the bouncer at a strip club.
Well, no, it ain't like that. She about to take all my alimony.
The reality is that somebody's going home tomorrow.
That don't sound any better.
it don't sound no better, but it does get the job done because the way she was rubbed up and backing it up on him, step back and dance and come close. She was hitting all the moves on him in the little shorts. Yeah.
And this, I'm so glad you had that clip, because she was reaching around, grabbing at something. I remember that when I was watching, I was like, what's she grabbing?
Mama heard alimony and said, sign me up.
She was like, we could forget about ex-wife. We gonna consummate. How about that? She was reaching around and grabbing.
Mercedes said she's leaving here with something. Okay, even if Mark Anthony turns out to be a buffoon, she gonna leave here with something. So she put all her eggs in this basket, and she gonna have to walk. She gonna have to walk it like she talk it. She gonna have to follow through with whatever she doing. Okay. So maybe she cool with whatever outcome she get. That's a possibility. We gotta leave space for that. But if at minimum she get to do a little something strange with Mark Anthony, then she may be cool with that too.
Hey, look, some of us be okay with the right now. He ain't got to be Mr. Right, but he Mr. Right now, and we okay with that. So I think that's where she's
I
at
don't
with
think
it.
Mark Anthony gonna be paying for nothing. He look like he gonna be on her flight credits.
Yeah, I think Mark Anthony's a good time. I feel like that's what it's giving. It's giving, let's just have a little fun. You be your pilot. Let's go on some trips. Let's hang out. And then that's it.
Smile. We smile together. They look good together, you know?
They look good. Yeah, why not?
So it may not be that serious.
They young and having fun. We got to let them develop. They might go away and come back together. We don't know. They got some chemistry there, though. They got something.
Hey man, listen, if you just want a D appointment, then of course, then always, if that's what you want, then okay, cool, isn't it? But the girl actually said, I've heard that before, and this is why she's still single. How are you going to let that happen a second time? That don't make no sense. Like, yo, like, I'm telling you this, I just want to put someone on game, just in case you thought this was cute. This is the second time she's heard this comment before. Not from him, from someone else. It's not cute. There's nothing cute about that comment. Nothing cute. Just want to save somebody, just in case someone will send it to you. Go for it.
I understand you want to save us sometimes, but secretly, sometimes what we hear is that D is fire. Just like y'all be hearing something about when crazy people we talk to, you be like, oh, that poom poom. When we hear toxic stuff, sometimes we just know there's some, usually the case is it's worth that shot, usually. So sometimes we'll take that chance.
If that's what she wants, then I'm not even mad at it. If that's what she wants, I'm not mad at it at all. Go for it.
I mean, like, have we actually heard her really talk super seriously through this whole show? Granted, she's been very honest with everybody. She's let them know where they stand in her life. But have we ever heard her really talk about, I want marriage, I want these many kids, I see this in this much time or whatever and stuff? She's still young. So I'm just thinking she's just having the fun with it right now. She don't have no kids. She don't have no responsibility. So it's not this need to make sure this person fits into my life correctly, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? When we have kids and all that, we don't have the luxury to keep playing around with people because we got responsibilities. When I don't have any responsibility, or when I didn't have responsibilities, yeah, you could talk crazy to me like that. And I'm like, hey, okay, well, we'll go give it a shot to see if I be your ex-wife or not. Because shoot, I don't know if you're going to last in my life that long, but sounds great. Let's work it out. That's just kind of like where I see her right now. You know, I give her credit for being honest with all the guys. Like, she don't have the capacity to date around. But I think for her interest sakes, you said, what you said earlier, Kojo, is that she really needs to. She needs to not put all of her eggs in one basket. But, you know, if she thinks it's going to shoot her shot from having fun with these men, she's still green then too. So,
but you can't, we all know we can be casual. Women are capable of being casual. A lot of us are. But where it gets messy is when you start trying to be casual with someone, you cheesing and grinning and all up in their face, and you know nose wide open. That's how we get got. That's how people start putting bricks through windows and slicing up tires, because you try to have a casual situation with someone that you're sprung off of. So that's the dangerous part. And so I don't know. Usually you got to be something that's like, like she could probably be casual with like Andre, because she don't really like him like that. But it's hard to be casual with somebody that you actually like really like. That's where it gets dangerous.
So she needs to sit down with Morgan a little longer and figure out how she got there before she started trying to go by Nair for Mark Anthony, because he do seem like he got some hair that he do kind of like. I don't know if he comb it much, but he like it.
He has full of hair. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Mercedes, go talk to Morgan a little bit before you jump off that ledge.
No, don't talk to Morgan, because she's gonna send her to the store to buy the Nair. Because Morgan played that same game, trying to be casual. Then she got caught up, and then she want to put, she would have ruined the guy's, hair like that. She want to play Delilah.
Well, when I say talk to her, I mean get that full story of how we got there.
How she got there.
Yeah.
I don't
Before
think Morgan's the right one to talk to. It's got to be somebody that's healed. Morgan's still caught up. She's about to get some nair for Tony in a second.
Listen, out of all the guys that care about their hair, Andre is the guy that cares about his hair. He needs the nair treatment.
Morgan and Andre. Yeah, I wish she would get some nair to that multiple hairstyle situation.
No, don't touch Andre here. He seemed a little more unstable. I will let him be. I will leave him and his hair alone.
He's unstable. What is he gonna do?
I don't know, but if you're crying about somebody not calling you when you call COVID, anything after that, I'm leaving you be.
No, he wasn't crying, Seaway, but
I mean, he did everything short of a tear coming down his face. He might as well be crying, honestly. I also have a low tolerance for that. You come in my face, talk about what I didn't do, and we ain't together, boy, you gonna get your feelings hurt. Do not do that. And she did hurt his feelings, though. She said I wasn't checking for you, so.
And that's why you can't go to certain people because you get too real too fast.
Find the right one or the wrong one.
You get too
Definitely
real too
could have pacified him. Mercedes said, "Boy, if you don't get out my face with that bull crap."
Boy, stop.
She seems like a straight shooter because even when he asked her for the sock, she was like, "What? Why am I give you my sock? Get your own sock." She didn't even play the game with him a little bit. She was like, "Beat it." He's like, "Beat it."
She didn't play the game because she don't like him.
Yeah, she don't like him. She don't.
Yeah.
She don't like him. So she knew giving her sock is giving your sock. This is the stuff that we talk about with dating. It's like when you like someone, you do this kind of nonsense stuff, these little minuscule stuff, like give me your sock, give me your pen. You want to see if they're going to give you something because it's part of the kind of scene if they like you enough to give it to you. When you don't like someone and you know they like you, you don't want to give them nothing. Okay, you're not having my sock, my breath. You're not having nothing from me. Okay, step away from me, and that's what you're trying to tell him. So, and then you hear him. He drop a little joke at the door. He tried to drop a little joke. Do you know why I got a double bed? Look, let me tell you this now, guys. I've been there. I know exactly what it is. You know when someone tells you they don't like you, just leave it alone. Making these jokes about, you know, I got a double bed, it's further enhancing why she's got an ick against you anyway. Okay, it's not gonna work. All right, I've been there. I know. All right, you know, you're trying to drop 1-2 lines just to see if it's. She told you straight she ain't feeling it, so leave it alone. You're just gonna embarrass yourself, and that's why she's saying what she's saying.
And to Jay's point, I mean, to Seaway's point, actually. Andre definitely, you don't want to fool with him too much because he put her in the bottom. He put her in the bottom just for that sock. He was like, I got you, and I see I got your energy, and I match you. So guess what? You go on the bottom today.
That's what I was saying. Thank you, Coach. And shot too, because Seaway is definitely Mercedes' inner spirit. Okay, because once he did that, and you're gonna ask for the shot, you're just checking to see where I'm at. You're asking for the sock to check where see where I'm at. And I already told you I'm off of you because you clearly put me at the bottom for not checking on you. And he openly voted that I'm putting her at the bottom in front of everybody because she didn't check on me. So why would I sit here and keep giving you time? He shot himself with that one. So I don't even know why I try to circle back to see if she's still interested. Like she gonna come check for you after you publicly embarrassed her like that. Like, well, she didn't check for me, so I'm putting it at the bottom. Nah, yeah. I'd have been looking at her funny if she went back. Like, girl, stop playing. Like, okay, Andre, Mark Anthony, one thing, but Andre, seriously, the man just got threw a whole tantrum with you in front of everybody. And said, basically, I'm putting her at the bottom because she didn't check on me. Out of everybody, she was the only one that didn't check on me. Oh, well, put me at the bottom then, baby. And move your room to the other room. I don't need to know about why you got 2 beds. Okay. I don't care. Enjoy. But that's still my point.
They're petty. They're very petty.
Mm-hmm.
Him and then Anthony was petty. Tony was petty this episode. Anthony was petty putting Suanne at the bottom because she politely declined his advances. That was actually a very polite decline. And then, so I just don't understand why all the men are so petty. And then what's his face was being petty, messing with Tony. He was being petty too. Lyndon was being a petty, messing with Tony.
We gonna get into it because Tony was being petty with Lyndon in the first
They were both being petty. They're both petty. That's the thing.
Right.
I think only person who wasn't petty was probably Mark Anthony. He wasn't being petty this episode.
Blake.
No, Mark Anthony was Mark Anthony was in disguise petty because Mark Anthony jumped off for Jeffrey because, and I give him every right on this because, like I said, if another man jumps in and while you're talking to your one potential and comes up and kisses her, Andre came up and kissed Jeffrey right in front of him, and Jeffrey did nothing. So yeah, his petty went under the radar just because she did that, and we just like okay, and he acted cool about it. But he didn't sit there and try to go for it anymore. And after that, he just moved on to Mercedes. It was just like, all right.
So is that really petty? That's just more so natural. You know, he just moved on. He made sense.
No, because his comment and the thing was, Jeffrey's been my top, but after this thing, you know, I've been really leaning more towards Mercedes.
But that's not petty. That's just calling it out, right? I think that's what would you do? And I don't think it's petty if somebody that you're in a dating show with, right, their person that they're also dating walks up while you're in an interaction, interrupts it, and then starts kissing the other person. They don't do anything else. You just move accordingly. You're like, all right, this just cancels it out. I don't think it's petty. I think it's just like, hey, listen, now if he would have, if he would have voted for her in the elimination, right? If he would have said her name, like, yeah, but he did still mention her as his top two connection.
So we could just agree that Blake is the only person that I think showed absolute zero pettiness.
I can agree. You mean we can agree?
What did I say?
You said disagree.
Oh, I didn't mean that. We can agree that Blake was for sure, if nothing else, minding his business and not petty this episode.
Mark the record. C-Way says something real nice about Mr. Blake.
People act like I can't be objective. I can be very objective. Blake didn't do anything wrong this episode. Everybody else was acting a plumb fool. I don't think Mark Anthony was doing anything wrong, but talking crazy with that ex-wife thing. But yeah, I mean, the pettiness between Lyndon and Tony, and then Anthony being petty, Andre, then we got telenovelas in the freaking hot tub.
What was petty about what Anthony did or whatnot? Because he told her straightforward or whatever. And then when she said, no, you don't have a chance anymore, he said, okay, well, I tried and that's it. So
I think it would have made sense to put someone that he had never had any type of relationship with in the bottom, not someone that he liked who he wasted the timeline and then it didn't work out. So I get it. There was hardly nobody kind of to put in the bottom this episode, but like putting her in the bottom after you were just trying to shoot your shot just feels petty.
I get that.
So
I agree with that. And maybe he just didn't like her the entire time. And this was now his chance to like put her where he really wanted to, maybe. But he does give me like he has undertones of petty. The only person who I don't think has undertones of petty is Mark Anthony to me. Like he seems like the most laid back, like jovial. I don't really feel like he has the petty energy to me.
More of a man's man. He gives me like a man's, like he's above. He gonna play with you. He gonna play you, but he ain't gonna be petty.
Yeah, he's just gonna, because even with the Morgan story, when she was telling him about the Nair and stuff like that, he was just kind of like, wow, like you're crazy. Like she's really crazy. Like it was just like, a very like chilled kind of vibe. But I feel like everybody else has a little, if you press the right button, you're gonna get some type of petty. Like we've seen it with Anthony. I feel like even his little mat that in the house was giving petty, like with the shoes or whatever it said. And then Blake, we know he has it in him, but he's able to kind of tone it down depending on the situation and compose himself. And then Andre, oh my gosh, I don't even have to say anything. And then who am I missing?
Tony and Lyndon, we already know they
Tony, they're just like petty kings. Now, I will say, Lyndon, I'm so proud of him because after the this is a little toxic proud, but I think last episode when I saw the previews and I saw Tony getting at him, I was like, oh, Tony's like beating up on Lyndon, and he's like, you know, this laid back, chill guy. Like, I can't believe he's doing this. Like, I was like really upset. But Lyndon, okay, like he has kind of that silent, petty energy that he can pull out. And I'm happy that he stood up for himself in that moment instead of letting Tony just go in. It's a little toxic, but I feel like it was warranted in this particular situation for him to go ahead and do a little flex with the muscles just to show that, hey, I might not have the same, you know, my machismo vibe that you do, but I can, you know what I mean? I can get it. Okay. That's it.
Yeah. Coach, do you have a clip as we segue to the Tony, Lyndon, Morgan trifecta?
Which clip do you want from me, bro?
The clip when he pretty much told what Tony had told him about if Marcia was there.
Yeah, just about, I think. Let me see if I can get the right place.
Okay.
Hopefully I got the right part.
Talking to Blake, let's keep it 100. So if Marcia was here, we all know I have a connection with her, but Morgan been my number one since day one. Copy that. Fair enough? All right. So how about...
Hold on, I'll play the rest of the clip because the copyright, but I'll play in a second or two. But yeah, continue and I'll play the clip in a second.
Yes. So yeah, Faye, I'm with you, but I don't think this wasn't like pettiness. This was just blatant, outright, you know, by any means necessary pettiness. You know, Lyndon just isn't like the raging bull like Tony is, but there was nothing subtle about this.
He unleashed a clip on that man.
That was a full-blown like assault.
He ruined his whole trip.
And Morgan got caught and Morgan caught several strays.
She was getting strays left and right
all through the episode.
She did not deserve that, low key. I mean, I know she a little cuckoo, but that I don't want to see any woman sit. JR, hold on, let's be fair. It's not right to argue over a woman like she's an object in a pond. That was ridiculous. I don't care. Her aside, you can insert a statue. That was ridiculous. They shouldn't have been doing that.
Well, you know where it should have been nipped in the bud, and I honestly felt a little weird about this, is when they played the pool game in the beginning of who was going to be sleeping in more, you know, who was going to have Morgan in their room. That already set the tone. And then Tony in the car already said it's about to be ugly. Something's going down. So we knew that things were going to reach ahead, and for them to play that pool game, not on who's going to back down, because sometimes guys do stupid stuff like that. All right, if we win this game, you know, then I'll back off. It wasn't even that. It was who's sleeping in her bed without even talking to her. They're like, whoever wins this game. So they're already, and Lyndon had nothing to say about it. He was like, all right, let me see. He knew he was going to lose, but he was like, let me give it a shot, maybe.
I think when Morgan set herself up, just to be fair, because again, objective here, right? Contrary to what people like to say. I think the problem is that Morgan, I'm not defending what the boys did, because I thought it was bad, like I just said. But Morgan also kind of laid the foundation for this mess. No, JR, I was gonna get to it. I said let's be fair. I'm gonna be fair too, right? Like what they did was wrong. But I also think that she also laid the foundation for them to be tussling over her from that stupid kiss game where she said that Lyndon was the finest one and whatever, right? And so I think what happened is that the game went too far. It's like it was working up until a certain point, and then it's like, you know how sometimes you start a game but you can't control how it ends? They started with the pool situation, and that was already cringy, and then when it got to the table, she was like, now this is too effing much, you know what I mean? So it's like when we're playing games as women, I don't really play games, but if you're a game player, like, you have to be aware that sometimes you may lose control of your game. And I think this is what happened here. But on the flip side, as two men, they should not have been doing that. That was very inappropriate. They would not have wanted that to be, you know, they wouldn't want that to be their sister, their mother. And that's all I'm saying. It wasn't right. And JR, I know you can recognize that because you're reasonable. You can, two things could be happening at the same time. That they were also not right to be doing that.
Yeah, but Seaway, the thing is, she was right there. She walked in on the pool game before it even got going, and she could have shut it down right there and then and said, "Listen, you're playing for me to decide who I'm going to sleep in bed with. I have my own mind. I choose. What if I want to go to bed in my own bed? What if I don't want to sleep with none of you tonight?" She could have done all of that, but she encouraged it. She was actively clowning and laying on the floor and being performative. When Tony did win, he turned to Lyndon and said, "Look, she coming in my bed tonight, or you going to sleep by yourself," or whatever he said. And she still didn't check Tony at that point either. So she was fully complicit in that tussle that took place. Like, she has been orchestrating this tussle for a couple of weeks now. She, a few weeks ago, sat down with Tony and said, "You being too cute with these other women. You need to cut off these connections. You need to be intentional with me. You need to..." Right? She gave him that whole speech. And at the time, a few weeks ago, I said, she didn't make no mention of her cutting Lyndon off, but she wants Tony to get rid of his connection to Marcia. So what that's going to do is create a situation where he has no other connections. He's going to be believing that because she said that to him, she's going to probably reciprocate, but she never said that. So that's her get out. Now she can say, "Well, I never said I was going to cut off Lyndon. I like him."
JR, I'm gonna let you finish, but whose fault is that?
Like I said, she orchestrated the whole thing.
No, but whose fault is that? If she sit there and say, "I'm gonna you need to cut yours off," and he never says anything back to her, but assumes that she's going to do the same thing, whose fault is that?
Yeah, no, I get what your question is. The point is, you can't even say that it's Tony's fault because he didn't cut off Marcia.
How you can't say
because he
that's not
didn't
his
cut her
fault?
off. She got voted
I
off
tell
because
you,
no other
JR,
connection.
cut yours off, and you never tell me, well, you need to
Yeah.
cut yours off back.
He didn't cut her off though.
My fault. That's not my
No.
fault.
No. I hear what you're saying.
Whatever I want.
I hear what you're saying, but that's not where the blame goes. He didn't cut Marcia off. She got voted off because she didn't have no connections. Nobody was vying for her as their number one or their number two.
She's
They
gone.
got friend
Regardless
vibes
of
from
how
her.
she's gone.
So that's why.
But if he doesn't
Yeah,
say
but that's what I'm saying.
nothing,
It's not applicable.
if he doesn't say nothing to her and to respond to, well, you need to cut yours off, where we get here with Lyndon, she might have orchestrated, but at this point, how he reacts to everything because he has no more options is not her fault.
No. I agree with you. How he reacts is his own fault because he's in control of his own actions. My point is he didn't cut Marcia off. She got voted off because of the numbers game. She didn't have any connections. So how are
you? But you're relaying that to.
So what I'm saying is, she, by putting that little word in his ear about you being too cute with these other women, cut them off. That was her intention for this to happen. He has no connections anymore. He's only going to be invested in her, while she gets to sit back and have the guy that she finds sexiest, Lyndon, and the guy that she cares for, as she said, in Tony. They're going to be vying for each other. Tony has been showing signs that he's a little hot-headed for probably the last couple of weeks, you know, and now it's come out in an aggressive and hostile way to Lyndon. He's asking the man to come outside and we can settle this like men, right? Like, it's got to the point, it's out of control, but that's what you get for sowing the seed in the first place. You didn't know how it was going to
I get what you're saying, JR. You're saying that she told him to cut his people off, and now he's telling her to cut her people off. I don't have a problem with him telling her to tighten up and cut your people off, even though technically, to Jay's point, he actually never really cut his people off. Marcia got eliminated, but you know, we're gonna leave that aside. Okay, they're both saying the same thing. Whether they actually oblige is a separate issue. What I'm saying though is, regardless of what he says to her on the side about tightening up and cutting her people off, I don't have a problem with that. What I have a problem with is that behavior at the table. That's all I'm saying. Right is right and wrong is wrong. And regardless of every other situation, that was just wrong. They shouldn't have been doing that. I'm not saying he's wrong for telling her to cut her people off, because honestly, everything Morgan dishes she should be able to take. And she told him from the beginning, tighten up, focus on me, Blasey Skippy. So I don't have a problem with him coming back and saying, tighten up, focus on me. That's fair. I don't have a problem with that. But that nonsense at that dinner table was just ridiculous.
Let's also add in when she sat there and spoke to him when they went to the side, when she had to chase him to the side because he walked off, he stormed off. She had to remind him in that moment, when you had Marcia, I didn't act like this with you. When you had her there. Now, in their private thing, how they talk to each other in a private time when they're together, yeah, it's cut these people off, do that and do that. But when they were all in each other's space with the group, she basically said, and we have never seen her act that same way Tony presented himself against Lyndon. That was a bit much. You sitting at the table getting an attitude basically with her because a whole nother man come to sit next to his connection. And he wasn't, and the crazy thing, Lyndon wasn't even talking to them into their thing. He just sat there, and Tony shut down in that whole moment, which is definitely not an alpha move, in my opinion. You shut down in that whole moment, got up, stormed off so she can chase after you, so you could pull her away and just sit up sitting there and say, when we finish eating, can we go to the step to the side, or whatever the case may be, when she didn't move over. That was a bit much. And no, I agree with Seaway. Just because Morgan has done some awful things in the past doesn't mean that it's anybody else's place to treat her like a piece of meat. That's probably also why she's never been in love, and possibly also why she feels it's okay. And I'm not trying to give her a pass or anything like that, but sometimes cycles happen that people do nasty things to you that you feel it's okay that you can return the favor by doing nasty things to other people. Somebody got to step in and do better to be like, okay, sis, I'm not going to treat you this way because I actually do like you. Let me show you what a real relationship or a real situation feels like. And the fact they just both objectified her in that moment was problematic. The fact that she didn't stop them when she came in and learned about from Mercedes, that was a problem. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how much Mercedes knew, but when they made that bet, that last bet in front of her was, you're going to sleep in my room. And she fell on the floor and rolled around and thought it was cute. But these men's been tussling. They was tussling in the car all the way there. They were in the car together. And I was like, oh, production, y'all really messy. Y'all put these men in the car so they can sit here and have a little back and forth in the car on the way there. But she can't control any of Tony's pride. She can't control his ego. She can't control that part of him.
No, so I never said that she could. She can only shut down what she finds insulting. Mm-hmm. So if she found it insulting that she was being treated like a possession or a trophy, right there, she could have said, no, listen, I'm nobody's possession. If I'm not, listen, you're playing a game to see who is, you're having a pissing contest right now. Like, I don't want to be in the middle of this. She could have said all of that at the pool game, and they could have just had verbal jabs at each other all day long, and it wouldn't have affected her. But by allowing it to happen, by playfully going along with it, by leaving with Tony after he's just made the statement, look, I got the woman for tonight, rubbing it in Lyndon's face, she's playing along with it.
But JR,
so she may not have expected it to erupt in the way it did.
Exactly.
But Tony is a hostile guy. We can clearly see that. He's volatile. She's volatile too. A lot of the stuff that she was saying to him is actually applicable to her too.
But JR, let's fast forward to one spot real quick. She made a key thing about where her mindset is at. When she came and talked to Tony, when Tony came and talked to her later on after everything happened, and she had to say that Cynthia gave her the revelation that a way a person treats me. She's not a healed person. She's a broken person, unfortunately. So her brokenness thinks the jealousy game is cute. until it gets to a too far stage, until it becomes a problem. That's why she was able to be jealous and do the things that she did to that last relationship, because that's love to her. That's a relationship to her. She's seen that somewhere in her past that says it's okay, and she's gotten away with it. So she thinks that these two men fighting for her is an okay thing. She needs to understand that is not. And right there in that moment, yeah, she's going to roll around on the floor, thinks it's cute, because this is what love looked like to her in her past. She don't know no better.
And a lot of women think possession is love. I see that all the time. Like that. Ooh, I like a man who's possessive over me.
You like him to love you more, right? Well, Tony
no,
is loving him more.
That's not. Come on, I thought you weren't tussling today, Sean.
Sean.
Tony loved to win more. Let's get that straight, Sean. That's not love her more. Tony loved to win more.
Yeah, he loves to win. I'm talking about possession. I still stand on what I said, but I thought you was healed, Sean. Okay.
I am healed.
You said you was healed and improved. It's a new
you.
It was a short-term growth.
That's what I listen. Just because I'm offering an alternative opinion to yours, and circling back, I'm taking a page from your book, because you'll circle back to something that we said. So I'm just taking a page from your book and circling back to this is loving more.
No, I don't think so, because I think we both know the difference between loving more and possession. I'm talking about being possessive.
Yeah, well, that's how it shows up sometimes. It shows up as a possession because he's loving her more, and he's so considerate of her more. He can't stand anybody else.
She's Scotty Pimpers with the RH. He's grabbing an air right now. You just grabbing
I'm loving the interpretive dance moves. I'm loving it.
I love it. I love it.
I agree.
I'm gonna play.
And then there's still gonna be some girl in the comments talking about Sean. You right. Hell no.
Because she wants her to reach for her. She wants him to reach for her.
Y'all know I don't need nobody to agree with me to feel I'm
not even about to go down this road with
validated. So they can agree or disagree. I don't care. But my point is really my true point is I think that she miscalculated, and she miscalculated Lyndon, because when she was talking about and comparing the two men, she was talking about how Lyndon was the one that, would be good for her, right? And how Tony is the one that she probably likes on the physical level and the chemistry level, but it's probably not the one that's best for her long term. And I'm paraphrasing her comments. But the thing is that she miscalculated, right? So it's just be careful what you entertain, I think, is the real message, because she started off entertaining the pool game, thinking it was kind of funny and a little, whatever, but not seeing how it was going to escalate, right? It's not funny when things start to escalate. She even said it about when they got on that boat ride through the swamp. Right? She was like, oh, I see Lyndon coming over here and sitting next to me. He's always going to do this and that. So she exactly likes the attention, but when it's out of her control, that's when it's too much. And I think that's why you got to be careful when you play those games, because you play the wrong game and you play stupid games. We say you're going to get a stupid prize. And unfortunately, she caught a bunch of strays, and it was not necessary. Right. So I think, like, at the end of the day, she might have misread Lyndon's character too, because he was willing to take her out to prove a point. So, if he was emotionally intelligent, he would have had a conversation with her behind the scenes. So
I think Sean, you're saying, oh, I'm sorry. I was gonna say, I think you're saying what I'm saying. And I think it's also adding to what Jay is saying. Sometimes when you take it too far, you get this situation. But sometimes when you take it too far, it's also because, like Jay said, you're not healed. And hopefully the revelation is, and the lesson learned is that this is not the type of love you want, because it can result in this. And so everyone can learn from that. Because I doubt this is the outcome that she wanted, even if earlier she was enjoying the attention along the way. I think it got a little bit too far.
Don't play games.
Ooh.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say real quick, I agree. I think that she definitely instigated all of this from the very beginning. And I think she definitely likes that attention and being fought over. Like a lot of women like to see men fight or tussle over them because they think it's really cute. And it can be cute in the beginning, but I think particularly here as well, like Lyndon kind of started off as a pawn that she was using to get to Tony. And I think that in that way, she was trying to bring out this like machismo kind of vibes from Tony that I don't know if he necessarily really is that guy. I think that he is being what he knows she wants him to be, which is like a little bit more manly, aggressive, whatever you want to say. And so I think she pulls that out of him, and he was going back and forth with he was playing it up too much, where it got, because I even think they were a little bit lighthearted with each other at first about it, like just kind of laughing, like almost locker roomish, like with each other. And then at some point it just got into the ego situation where I think they lost control too, because I don't think they were that serious about it at first. But one thing I will say is I think now maybe she's looking at Lyndon a bit differently than a pawn at this point, because I don't think she ever thought he was the sexiest guy in the room. She was just saying that. But I think she, after this little tussle and the way he kind of pulled, even though it was wrong, and I think she was like horrified at how they were just going back and forth over her, I still think in a way she wanted to see who would triumph over the situation. And Lyndon really pulled a card that made Tony look really bad. And he lost that fight, and there was not much he could do after that. I mean, he just had to walk away. And then even at that point, she was just like, I'm just looking at you different. And he didn't even have anything to say. He was just like, well, dang, well, okay, you know. So I think now at this point, she's like, okay, Lyndon has a little bit of that aggression in him that I like, you know. I didn't see it at first, but it's there. And she'll probably forgive him more so, even though they both did the same thing, going back and forth, being disrespectful. But I think his apology comes off better because he won the fight. And, you know, the fact that he said what he said about Tony, and Tony actually admitted that he said that, makes her look at him completely different. So even though it was toxic and I don't think it was right for them to go back and forth about it, I still think it's still the same thing. Like they fought and someone won, and now that's going to make her look at Lyndon differently, I think, but we'll see.
I don't know how I personally want either one of these dudes in that moment. Like after that situation right there, first of all, we're going to add the whole y'all playing for me to sleep in whoever's room without even discussing anything with me. And then to top this off, you at the table, and then you're basically saying you would pass. I don't like when somebody tells anybody they would pass me to the next person if this was the case. That's like that. That's that same up there with the ex-wifey comment or the ex-wife comment. Like, bro, so I mean nothing to you. So that's why I said this man is in love with winning the game at any cost. He don't care about Morgan at all. Even that argument at the very end, where it's, I don't want to give you, if you don't give me an answer, we don't have nothing then. That's, I don't care about you or whatever. I don't want to be embarrassed. That's his biggest thing. I don't want to be made a fool. I don't want this. And this is what he calls himself, an alpha man. I don't, in my opinion, my personal opinion, alpha men do not act like that. They not worried about you because they know there's other people out there that they can get at any time. They not worried about winning the game because in their mind, the game is already won. They not worried about the next man sitting next to you because they know their presence is going to be felt regardless of who else is in the room. That's just how I look at if we had quote unquote alpha men. You know, there's something about that confidence that they bring to the room that they're never worried about who else is in there with them. The closest that I could still say that we had back in the day was Cal Funny. We never seen him as much as that he could have been going back and forth with Rashid over Adriana, we never got that from him. He never worried about Rashid being in the room, walking in the room, out of the room, where he at with her, none of that stuff. We never worried about that. He never sat there, as far as we seen, check Adriana about, well, where you stand with him, why he's still lingering around, with this, that, and the third. Alpha men tend to be waiting for the woman to come to them anyway. So for Tony to sit here and be in this, and maybe he feels he's alpha, but he's definitely not. Because that whole attitude that he displayed, he got up and threw a tantrum and ran off or whatnot. I don't know what that is. Regardless if she was playing a game, he probably wouldn't have entertained this game in the first place, because he probably would have noticed that, okay, so you want to keep this dude alone to try to make me jealous? No, I'm not about to go this route with you, sis. I got options myself. And he would have fought harder for Marcia. But he felt, he don't know where Marcia is really, because she was still up in the air with everybody. And he thought he had Morgan in the bag. So now he has an attitude that Morgan is not releasing her options for whatever reason. And his mind is, why are you not releasing this man? He doesn't compare to me. He's arrogant. He's arrogant as AF or whatever. And that's where his downfall is. Because he automatically thinks, I got her in the bag, so I can tell Lyndon, oh, if such and such was here, you can have her. That's arrogance. If we gonna play for her, let's put a bet on it. Let's play for her where she gonna sleep tonight. That's arrogance with a little bit of misogyny up in there. Like, bro, we not in the Renaissance era where, you know, I'm just your bed wench and that's what we do. She got some rights too. Now, JR, I know you might not agree that she deserved fair treatment, but as a woman, that's not how you treat a woman. You're not going to treat her like she's just an object that she can win. She a trophy that you can just pass along to your boys whenever you don't want to play with it no more. You want to dust it off the shelf, look at it a couple of times, and then put it back up there. That's not what she is. She's still a human at the end of the day. She still got emotions. And yes, she should have put her foot down and stopped that a long time ago. But we already knew she wasn't, because she started that game, like you said in the beginning, with Lyndon. Now, Lyndon is stepping up to the plate because his man is being tested by Tony on a regular. And he is like, you're not going to keep trying to sun me every chance you get, bro. So here it is. Now, the liquor got into him and he said a bit too much. And I believe he broke man code. I don't really know, because I'm not a man, but I'm hearing from most of y'all men that y'all don't like that. So he broke code on that, but he was tired of being tested by him. Now, I don't know if it's manipulation for him to run to Morgan first and say, I apologize, that was wrong, I didn't mean for it to get there, or he was being genuine in that moment. That part I'm not really totally sure about. But everything else besides that, how Tony acted, that was very telling of where he really stands with Morgan, how he really feels about her. And he don't really like her like that. He just wants to win this game.
Coach, can you pull the clip when Lyndon goes to talk to Morgan after the conversation? And while that, I'm gonna do a little story time. So and this is to Jay's point around the bro code, right? So I'll tell you a little story. Many years ago, I had a good friend, and we went out, myself, himself, and another one of our friends, 3 dudes. We went out to hang out with, him and a group of girls that he knew. So at the end of the day, the one girl that he actually really liked and supposedly knew really well wound up liking me. So he comes and tells me that she had reached out to him and was like, she wants my number. So I asked him, what does he think, right? And he was like, yeah, it's cool, it's whatever, blah, blah, blah. He had his own stuff going on too. So I was like, okay, cool, bet. So me and her started kicking it. Then he starts telling her, oh, Sean's in a relationship. He's messing with this other girl, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And he starts telling her all these things. Now, she likes me, so she's coming back and telling me all the things that he's saying about me, right? So mind you, this was my friend. I met her through him. And although the situation is a little different, I think women and friends, that it always goes left, you know? So I think Tony made a mistake in confiding in Lyndon, because definitely shouldn't be confiding in him. And I think Lyndon blew the whistle on Tony to try to cover up his game, but just very similarly wound up being collateral damage, you know. But I don't think, I think, you know, Morgan is starting to see some of the light, but I don't think it's going to be enough to change. And I say that to say, just like, you know, the girl that liked me was still coming back and telling me the things that was being said about me. So in many instances, once somebody is dead set on what they want to do, they're going to keep doing it.
Hey, I got a question. So, like, with your story, we kind of know that he was going behind the back. But in like Lyndon's case, where he blurts it out in front of everybody because he been on that liquor or whatnot, do you think it was intentional, or do you think he was just he's one of them people that just get drunk and talk too much?
No, it was intentional. I don't think he went into that conversation knowing it was going to happen, but once he saw his moment, he was like, listen, I'm not going out like that. You know, because he was talking real clear. He remembered very specific details, because Tony tried to like back it up. If you remember, you know, Tony was like, well, I was upset. And Lyndon was like, no, you weren't. You know? So Lyndon just, he wasn't thinking about Morgan, and he didn't even care about Morgan at that time. He was like, I'm done with this, and I'm unleashing. Because if you even heard a couple of other guys, I don't know if it was Blake or Mark Anthony, but they were like, whoa, Lyndon, take it easy. They were trying to stop him because they saw how it was escalating, but he just kept going.
That's why I was wondering if it was just the alcohol, because, you know, sometimes when you got the alcohol, that liquor courage is just vomit. You just word vomit, and you just going, and everybody's trying to chill you out, and you just. Now, granted, alcohol do be making you say things you really be wanting to say, and while you're sober. But if he wasn't drinking, do you think he would have came out? That's kind of like what the question is.
I think so.
Listen, alcohol is not an excuse for Lyndon. He weren't drunk. He weren't even tipsy. He weren't slurring his words. It was a very concerted effort to get one over on Tony. Tony won the pool game. Lyndon tried to win the verbal joust at the dinner table, and he didn't care about throwing Tony's, confidential words into the mix to win that argument. Morgan didn't have to chase Tony when he left. She didn't have to. She could have sat down there and continued her connection with Lyndon and said, you know what, Tony, you're out of here. I don't even need to talk to you no more. Finished. She could have done that. She chose not to. She could have shut down the pool game and what they were playing for. She could have said, no, you're not playing for me. You can play for your bragging rights, but you're not going to play for me coming into your bed. She could have shut that all down. Tony is a hothead. He erupted in this episode. There's no justification for it. Even when he made attempts to apologize, she wasn't having it. Tony probably apologized 3 different times for different things in this episode, right? At the end of the day, the situation is now to the point where we hear in the next clip, the clip for the next episode, Tony talking about, look, I don't want to be here no more. You know, he's talking about leaving, like, as if he's gonna self-eliminate or something, because he don't have a connection with Morgan anymore, and Morgan's kissing Lyndon now. Lyndon played it smart because he did the Bush League move, and then went and apologized very soon after, made it seem sincere, and his apology was accepted. That automatically put Tony at a disadvantage because his apology was rejected, as we saw. So Lyndon has now moved up in Morgan's estimation, probably because he showed more bite than he has shown before. Everybody assumed he was some laid-back Caribbean guy, fun guy to be around, bartender. nothing serious. But the way he underhandedly moved to get one up on Tony, that definitely elevated him in Morgan's estimation, probably made her look at him in a different light. The apology was even received with a hug. Then he went back to join everybody else. So, Tony shot himself in the foot. There's no doubt about it, because he rose to the bait. He took the bait. But I think there are so many things that contributed to this. It wasn't just Tony sitting there one day thinking, you know what, sitting in the car on the way up to the retreat. Yeah, you know what, I'm going to get Morgan tonight. He wasn't thinking that. I don't think that Morgan knew how it was going to play out. I don't think Lyndon knew that he was going to out Tony at that particular time. But all these things conspired to take place at the same time in one day, and it just basically made Morgan's process easier for her, because now she don't have to worry about Tony. He's finished. He finished himself. In my opinion, both guys should have ran from Morgan ages ago, because this level of toxicity that she brings, it's something that she has made a point of saying to Tony about his connections. As I mentioned before, this is how she operates. She likes this type of energy in the room. She wants to be the center of attention, though. She doesn't want to be the person battling another lady for another guy's attention. She wants all eyes on her. So there's an element that I think she likes to be the prize. But again, when you play these type of games, you don't know how it's going to go. And if it spirals and you got a hothead like Tony and you got a snake like Lyndon, then it's going to be combustible. And then now, now the hothead's gone, you're left with the snake. So can you really trust saying anything in confidentiality to Lyndon, knowing that he won't weaponize it against you in the future? You don't know that. But this is what he's shown. If he does do it, just like if Lyndon takes the chance with her and the Nairgate thing, right? If anything goes wrong, he can't say, I didn't know that this was going to happen, because he's had prior warning that she can do certain things. Now, she can see what he's capable of. He's capable of taking something that you said in confidence and then putting it out there to win an argument or point score.
All right, Coach. Bring up the clip so we can see if Lyndon is really a good guy or a nice guy.
That to happen. For you to be in the middle of it, going back and forth, is just really unfair to you. It's just a who's is bigger tournament at the table at this moment.
Thank you for coming out here and talking to me about it.
Not genuine. I mean, not genuine. I think what he said was true. Yes, like it was a whose D is bigger contest. That's exactly what it was. That's what they've been doing the whole time. But that just because he put some truth in the apology, it does not mean that it's sincere. This is just his attempt to smooth things over and get things back on track. But he knew what he was doing. They both know what they've been doing the whole time. As a matter of fact, I really think, honestly, what kind of tipped the scale too is the fact that they were among so many people at the table. If it was just them two and Morgan, it might not have really gotten that bad. And if it did, I don't think she would have been as hot about it, but the fact that, like, okay, you're going to argue about me in front of me, not just in front of me, but in front of everybody, like that is another level. I think that made it a lot worse, probably in that moment. But, they've been doing this, and I don't buy the whole like, oh, he said this in confidence and he broke the bro code or whatever. Like, worse has been said in front of other people about, whatever has been said in whatever lounge. We all know ain't nothing confident in them lounges, or wherever amongst each other. I think that Lyndon and Tony had a very playful back and forth competition going on about a girl that they both perceive to be bad and they want to conquer. so they like her, but the the tussle of it all and the egos, I think, became more important than their affinity or their liking to her. I think it just got more about that. But they were pretty playful back and forth, even with the pool table and stuff like that in the beginning, the car ride, like nothing really got too aggressive until a lot later on with them. So I think it just kind of escalated. But back to the clip, I don't think that apology was sincere. I just think it was like, okay, ooh, that went too far. We were just playing, but ooh, let me just go back and let her know I didn't mean to really just do it like that. But I had to let him know. You know what I mean? And I do think that he did have to do that. I don't think it was a bad move at all in terms of the contest that they had between each other. It was toxic. It was bad. We all know this. But in terms of the fight, I think he did what he had to do.
Lyndon reminds me of LJ from last season a lot. And somebody dropped it in the chat too that he got a little girlfriend anyway. So that's even more so like LJ when he brought his ex that really wasn't an ex on the on the show. But yeah, no, I think there might be a little more to meets the eye than Mr. Lyndon. I think this is another, they have the character types, right? So he's the nice guy, not a good guy, or however, I always mess it up. So good guy, not nice guy, whatever one it is. There's a layer there that anybody that can give off to someone else that they're a good person, enough to know to not demolish her like that. To tell her that in that table like that was rough. And to play that pool game too about who's gonna sleep in whose bed. Yeah, you play a little bit of games. You just not as overt, right? Like Tony's a peacock. You see him coming a mile away. Lyndon, not so much. And I think, that's why he also gets put in the friend zone because, some women might just see his personality type and just, not get, not want to be, interested. So.
And to be fair, that pool game, like when the scene first started, Tony was shooting hoops on the basketball hoop. And Lyndon said, let's play pool for Morgan's honor. So he started that whole thing. All right. So I get the comparison between LJ and Lyndon, like, yeah, Island Boy vibes, chilled out, all that type of stuff, little accent, all that type of stuff. But they like, just like LJ, none of the ladies ever saw him as number one, number two. They're not really vying for him like that. He's just cool and fun to be around. Morgan, however, I agree, used him as a pawn initially, but like I said, he's gone up in her estimation now because he can play dirty if he needs to. He can roll his sleeves up, play dirty, and that kind of made her be like, maybe.
Oh, JR's frozen.
Oh, JR's frozen. I thought it was me.
Teddy Riley got a hold of him.
He's a mid-action.
Caught up in the rapture. He's caught up in the rapture.
There is more to him,
Morgan got him. She was like, "Gotcha." Between Morgan and Jeffrey,
you next.
They were like, "We've had enough."
JR, you there? Oh, he went again. He came back and he went again. He came
Morgan
back for a
and
short
Jeffrey
second.
double teamed him. They were like, "All right, tap me in, tap me in." Okay. Bong got his Wi-Fi.
Yeah, my Wi-Fi played up. Sorry about that. Sorry about the technical difficulties. Yeah. So look, so at the end of the day, he showed his pettiness by putting Mercedes in the bottom. He didn't have to. There's other people that he's had less of a connection with. There's no beef there. It's just that she shut down any potential for them. He still had feelings for her. He still liked her a little bit. Doesn't hate her, despise her, but he chose to put her down. with all the other people. He doesn't have a connection with Suanne. He doesn't have a connection with none of those people. But he chose Mercedes. So Lyndon to me is kind of showing this episode only, because that's all I've really got to go on. But he's showing to be much more than what he's shown to be previously. He's quite, I won't say conniving, that's maybe a bit too far, but he is capable of fighting fire with fire in his own way, right? He's not this weak guy who just pours drinks for everyone and keys with everyone. No, he's got a streak in him. If you let him, if you tick him off right, then he will actually look to set you.
Anybody else? Any thoughts on Lyndon's apology to Morgan?
Personally, I just think to myself with Lyndon, he's a sneaky little bastard. You know what I mean? Yeah, he's sneaky. Yeah, he's a sneaky little one. You know, listen, Tony's a problem, but Lyndon's just sneaky enough to that he had observed how Tony moves and used that against him. Do you get what I'm saying? Because I even forgot that he lured him into the pool game. He knows how Tony's going to be. His machismo, not even machismo, his bravado is going to cause him to want to play this pool game. Then you draw him at the table as well. And he's the one to ask the question first. He drew Tony out at the table. And unfortunately, Tony wasn't smart enough to see he was being drawn out. He was being played with. And so, yes, I definitely think Lyndon was definitely making sure he was everywhere that Tony was with Morgan. Of course, at the end of the day, it's a competition. I'm going to play my game. And, you know, he knew what it would do. Now, Tony should have just been like, you know what, fair play. You know, you're doing your thing, sir, like, continue. But Tony allowed himself to get wound up. And then that apology by Lyndon to Morgan, yeah, he apologizes, but the apology ain't hitting, because the reality is, first, he knew what he was doing when he used her as collateral damage, and he didn't care. He generally didn't care. It wasn't about Morgan, it was about beating Tony, which also makes me look at Lyndon a bit differently. Why were you so caught up trying to beat up Tony? You know what I mean? And it's because you probably heard that Tony's probably said those things about you, like, he can beat you, you're nothing, you're not going to ever have a chance with Morgan. He's probably heard those words before. So this is Lyndon's way of getting back at him. But the reality is that he chose a way that, for me personally, I get it. It's a zero-sum game. And he doesn't really owe Morgan anything, because really and truly, if he's not really in Morgan's sights like that, then anything can go. Do you know what I mean? But personally, man to man, that's a pussy thing right there, fam. To bring up something that we said in confidentiality between each other, and you bring it up in that particular way in front of the whole table, you not just embarrassed me, you've embarrassed the girl in question as well, and she hasn't done anything necessarily wrong to you. That just deeps where you're coming from. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, Jay, sorry, go for it.
I definitely agree with that. I agree with you guys all that he was wrong, definitely wrong for outing it, especially the way he did. I look at it, there's a different thing. He outed it too, because remember last week when his friend had put the bug in the air after the whole talk about her being a red flag and, you know, all this on the field. And he like, you know what, I need to step back. So yeah, he done checked out from her a bit, because I don't see a man that is still invested in you totally seeing that this is a great idea. Let me out another man in front of everybody, which in turn hurts you, the person I'm trying to get at the cause of it and stuff. And so that's why I asked you guys, do you think his apology was genuine? Because at this point, if I was Morgan, I honestly wouldn't trust neither one of you men. Like, flat out. I can't trust you, because you talk too much, you can't hold somebody's secrets or whatnot, I'm not saying that you should be holding people's secrets, but you don't pick a right time to out people. And that's problematic going forward. Because if we get into an argument or a disagreement, and as a couple, are you going to embarrass me in front of family and friends any chance that you get moving forward? Then on the flip side with Tony, you have this attitude that has to be checked. And I know she's like, I need somebody to handle me, but sis, you can't handle nobody because you can't even handle yourself. So how are you going to keep a hold on Tony going forward? That's another problem, because people should be handling themselves as they're going. I don't know if my thing is froze now too, but can you still hear me?
Yeah, your audio is perfect.
Yeah,
but you're
I'll just leave it
frozen.
alone since the picture's frozen. But yeah, so
The face
they
you're
done got
making
me.
is
Look, Tony
classic.
done got me now. Tony done got me. He done shut me down. I will not be silenced though, Tony. No, but if I was Morgan, I'll be questioning both of these men straight up. Like neither one of them is right for me in this, because if they treat me like this, going like in this situation where we're not even in a relationship, how would they treat me when we actually get into a relationship and the days are not good days?
I think it's I mean, definitely they're not serious about her, but I don't think Lyndon I don't know if I agree that it's like says anything about his personality in terms of outing someone at the wrong time or anything. I think this is kind of a situation where it was building up, and it was the only card he had. Doesn't make it right, but I think that was probably the best card he could have pulled. Now, I do think it's interesting that Tony didn't just like deny. I mean, he could have just said, I didn't say that. What are you talking about? So
before you go on real quick, Faye, I think that if anything that makes Tony have an alpha characteristic, I think it was that point, because he stood by what he said, knowing that what the fallout could be.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that, because I was thinking about that earlier. I'm like, well, I don't know why he didn't just, I mean, he could have just denied it. I mean, he wouldn't be the first person to lie on Ready to Love in this situation. But I don't necessarily think Lyndon is like a vindictive type of guy necessarily, but I do think he doesn't like to be piled on or underestimated. And so I think it was important for him to stand up for himself in whatever way he could. And he did pull the last card that he had, which was like, hey, you said I could have her. They've been doing this back and forth. They probably said that in many different ways behind the scenes. He just picked probably the most toxic one to use in that situation. But I don't know, I don't think they have like some sort of like trusting allegiance with each other that should be honored at all costs or anything like that. Like, I mean, if Tony hates him going forward because of that, I mean, it's also like a game at the same time too. So I don't know. Ready to Love kind of has this like fake loyalty thing among the women and the men, but they're all in competition. So it's just, I mean, there are some rules, I suppose, just like human to human, but at the same time, maybe you don't say certain things to the guy that you're competing with the girl over, So if it comes out, I don't know that I feel so bad about it. But they, the way they're fighting over her, it's gross, especially because I don't think they're that into her at this point. It's just like, she's the bad girl that we both want to say we got. And why not, in this situation?
Now, Faye, what I would say is that I think that's letting Lyndon off the hook a little too much, because in plenty of instances when people get into combative exchanges like that, they have said, you know what you said, right? So they will tease it without saying it, and then like let the other person know, like, but he just let it all out. So for me, he's smart enough to know to be like, Tony, you know what you said, right? Remember what you said? So, I would tread lightly, right? You can threaten without, and I'm not saying that makes it any better, but at least you don't do it in front of everybody, right? And then he could have had the conversation with Morgan behind the scenes. Or if he really wanted to be true on his game, he could have told Morgan just on a one-on-one. So I think for me, it was the spilling at the table in front of everybody.
Oh, Kojo, do you have that clip just to back it up to where they actually got into it? Because like he was starting and then he kind of shut himself down and then Tony came at him, but I can't remember exactly how much he had said at that moment. I just remember Tony come back at him and asked him, are you talking to Blake or are you talking to me or something like that. And then he was like, continue what you saying. So Tony asked for it more, but I don't remember how much was said prior to Tony asking for it all.
I'll try and get as best as can.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
And everyone else is not my connection. So for me,
hold on, that's not it.
Morgan been my number one since day one.
Copy that.
Fair enough? All right.
So how about those Dolphins? Things have come to an
Listen
end.
to Miami Heat.
Let me ask you something. How do you feel that I have a deeper connection with?
Okay, sorry, I missed the point. My bad. It's a little bit further on, isn't it? Just a little bit further on, isn't it? Say your point and then whatever. Sorry. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, that's where it escalated. The how do you feel that I have a deeper blah 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 blah, and I've been kissing and da 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 da. Like that's where it was starting to, you know, Tony took it there, but he just didn't pull out the other stuff. But he was already going for the jugular with the, oh, I've been kissing her. How do you feel about that? Like that's kind of emasculating in front of everybody. And if you would have
after Faye. That's still after Lyndon had outed him by that time.
Oh, he said that after?
Yeah, he said that one after. That's after he owned up to saying it, and he said, okay, but let's ask a question. So that was him going back at him. But there was some way that they did ask in the beginning where Lyndon was saying something. And I was going to say to Sean's point where he kind of insinuated at it, but I don't remember if he insinuated or he fully addressed it and stopped. And then Tony was like, no, continue what you're saying. So that's what I'm trying to remember, that part right there.
Okay. I thought it was before, but I guess I don't know. I need to see the scene again, clearly.
Yeah, that piece that Kojo just showed us, that was after, where Tony was clearing it up after Lyndon said everything.
You feel about that? How I kissed Morgan 3, 4, 5, 6 times, and you never kissed us. So how do you feel about that?
I feel okay.
Objection? Hearsay?
I'm fine.
I'm just keeping 100. Since you asking me questions, I'm gonna ask you questions, brother.
Let's kill it between the bros.
Time out. If we really want to go there, how do you feel about telling me?
There was something that was said just before then, how he was saying it, why that question. It was a question that came up, though. I'm trying to remember the initial question. Because Tony was answering the question there, and I'm trying to figure out what was that initial question. Do y'all remember? How did we get here?
He definitely took it there first, I think. With the how do you feel, and he was looking real pompous and, you know, looking like I got you, you know. And I think that's what really made Lyndon be like, you know what, since we're gonna do this, here we are.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who totally started that, because it went so fast and it was just back and forth through that whole thing. And so, yeah, if it's going that direction where Lyndon says things after he go and ask that question, then yeah, it don't seem so bad on Lyndon's part. But if Lyndon started that whole conversation by trying to be funny by a certain particular question he asked, then yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious to know how, like you said, what initiated that first spark.
I think you're talking about this point here. I think I've just about... Okay, hopefully I got the right part of it.
And everyone else is not my connection. So for me, all that matters is Morgan is not being sent home.
Me and the same boat, buddy.
Okay.
If
Next
Marcy
question,
was
when
still here, how would you feel
This is
right
where
now?
it
Who would you
escalates.
be? Lyndon.
Leave him alone.
Are we staying?
That's where it starts to escalate.
Okay.
That's the first part where it says it was Lyndon who started it by escalating it with that question.
And Blake tried to stop it, and then Tony interfered, like, no, go ahead, say what you got to say.
But one thing I'll say about that too, though, I think he was probably getting set off by the fact that Tony was trying to act like it was Morgan the whole time, when it's like, dude, no, like you had another connection that you were playing up to, like, don't. So I think that's what made him say, well, what if Marcy was here? Because, like, don't forget about that connection that you had. I don't know if he was really trying to go there yet with what he said at the end, but I think he was just trying to say, dude, don't lie, you know, in front of everybody, talking about you were only into Morgan. Like, you definitely had another connection. And, you know, you're not just this guy that was like, oh, it's Morgan and that's it. Like, you were between these two ladies.
Right.
Yeah, and that makes sense because after Negate came out and Tony was at the table listening to it, you could tell he was visibly kind of put off. His mood changed towards Morgan at that point. So maybe he was switching to Marcia at that point and shared it with Lyndon, but Lyndon going in and actually airing it out, that's where the problem came because, you know, he probably expected, and this is just a thought, maybe he thought Tony would lie to get out of the situation, and he didn't. He owned it. He said, yeah, I said it, you know, like, and Lyndon was kind of like, I rest my case, that kind of posture after he said it. So he thought, yeah, I got you. But yeah, Tony admitted it, and you know, his apology wasn't accepted. So Lyndon ultimately won that round. He's won the prize at the end of the day. He may have lost the pool game, but he won Morgan over. So the competition is not finished now between them two. You know, Morgan's not giving Tony any leeway to get back in. She's going to make it difficult for him. I don't know what he's going to have to do. And I don't think he's willing to even do it, whatever it is. He seemed to be checked out. So, yeah, let's see how Lyndon and Morgan connect going forward. And, you know, by the looks of things, it starts to heat up between them. He actually ends up getting a kiss from her too, which is something he hadn't had before. So
that's called a pay kiss.
Now, Coach, is there a way you could do the audio from Tony's apology / conversation / gaslighting that he did with Morgan? That way you don't have to show the video, just the audio, so we can hear the words that he used.
I can try and see. Yeah.
You know how I feel about you,
Video is
Morgan.
what
I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. Yeah. Marcy's a beautiful, intelligent lady, but above all, you always been my number one.
Cynthia makes a very good point. You should pay attention to the way someone treats you when they're mad. And when you're mad, you're not kind to me.
I'm not going to go back and forth with you in terms of, I did this, you did this, okay? I'm not going to do that. However, you entertained this guy right in front of my face. How do you expect for me to respond?
How do I expect you to respond? The same way I responded when you had to spend time with Marcy. I kept my together. I care about you, Tony, which is why when you say stupid ass, it bothers me. This, to me, is enough.
Okay.
You know, like, if we're starting off like this, that's crazy. I don't know what to expect.
She was definitely piling on, you know, trying to make him feel some sense of guilt or whatever. But no, she set him straight. Look, there's no going back now. So, you know, all attempts are futile at this point for reconciliation. Tony's done. He's finished. He shot himself in the foot. He pretty much eliminated himself right there. And he shouldn't have tried to match the energy that Morgan was giving him. You know, just because she became territorial about his connection, he messed up. It doesn't work both ways in that situation.
I wouldn't say Tony is done. I wouldn't say he's done. He lost that battle, but I still think there's room for Tony in Morgan's heart. She really likes him a lot. So I think, honestly, I feel like it could go one of two ways. Either she's going to like really just be like, you know what, I'm going to go with Lyndon, or what I really think is going to happen is she's just going to up the Lyndon pawn. Like, he's going to become an even like higher esteemed pawn just to get back at Tony, but she actually still really wants Tony. That's what I think is going to happen. But the latter could, the earlier, what I said earlier, that could be it too. But I don't think Tony's done.
Tony ain't done. She likes grand exits. So she is not going to let him be done on his terms. When she's done with him, that's when he's done or whatnot. So we already seen the clip, and JR, you like watching the clips for the next week. And she already told Lyndon that she's still giving him room to make up for how he behaved. She likes the toxicity. That's love language to her. Jealousy is love language to her. When we don't know better, we don't do better. So to her, this is what love looks like. This is what it feels like, because this is her cycle. And so Tony is just another thing to win back again. And that's what she's going to do. Now, if she has to play the same game to win him back, she's going to play the same game. She might switch the game up. But for her, it's control. And right now, with him walking off and this, she has a little bit of control. But if he walks too far off, I got to pull him back in, because if I let him go, I don't have no control anymore. So I got to keep him stringing along. So I got to keep giving him this little bit of chance so he can do what I want him to do. This is a form of trying to make a person bend at your will. This is me teaching them how to do this over time. And they're both battling for their will to be bent. He wants to have her in a way that he wants her, and she wants him in the way that she wants him. And they're going to keep tussling like this until one of them decides, you know what, enough is enough. And to be honest with you, I really think it's going to have to be Tony. But as long as he is sexually attracted to her and he hasn't got the goodies, if he hasn't already, he's going to keep going down this cycle, at least until he does. Now, he better sleep with one eye open afterwards, but that's a different conversation. He grown. He know what he walking into. She said her story with a smile on her face. So go ahead, do your thing.
Yeah, and I thought it's unfortunate that I think Cynthia's advice fell on deaf ears, because, she tried to help her out, right? Be conscious of how somebody treats you, right? Especially when they're angry and they're upset, because that's when you get to see how far they'll go, right? So I think Morgan did put a little 10 on 2 and tell him he ain't got home training and all this other stuff, but ultimately she should heed the advice, right? Because if you see, and his even explanation didn't make sense to me, like why he would say that to Lyndon, if he's like, I'm tired of you bringing this person around, so you're gonna go and tell the other person you'll pick somebody else. Like, were you hoping it would get back to her to try to hurt her? So maybe Marcy is the pawn. I'm not sure. I'm trying to understand what was the goal in him telling Lyndon that and then explaining it in that way. Sounds like he was trying to hurt her. So I'm not 100% sure what more she needs to hear from him that he can be hurtful, right? And whether it's true or not, he was willing to say it, right? So like we said earlier, most of us, right? Neither one of them are a good match, because Lyndon doesn't care really about her, because didn't think about how his words would impact her. And Tony pretty much is the same. They're just two sides of a different coin. So at the end of the day, I hope she doesn't think that there's any way, because once somebody shows you who they are to that extent, right? It's not like, oh, I made a mistake, I'm sorry, I could fix it. He wasn't even trying to apologize, right? Like saying, hey, listen, I said it in the heat of the moment. I didn't, I don't really feel that way. No, he kind of doubled down and then started explaining to her. I know we didn't hear it in the clip, but then he started explaining to her, like, this is something that men do. Don't put that on us. Don't put that on us. Don't put that on me. We don't need, this is not something that men do. This is something you did.
On me, Ricky Bobby.
No, exactly. You know, like I don't want that. Don't put it on me. That's not something that men do. You know what I mean? Like, look, when you get upset, you say things that either one aren't true or two very hurtful and intentionally trying to get at people. That's your thing. That's not a man thing. That's a you thing. So yeah, he needs to do a better job of owning his issues and learning from his mistakes. And she should not even, think twice about it.
That's funny that you said that though, Sean, because he owned his issues while he was irate and he was mad at Lyndon, but then doubled back to her and was just like, "Oh, baby, this is just what men do. Like we talk like this. Like, no, stand in that same ground. Like I said what I said. I didn't mean for it to come out and hurt you, but I see you're hurt by it." It is what it is. Yeah. He's one to be questioned. I'm sorry.
But it's like they're both guilty of the same thing, like Lyndon and old dude Tony. So it's like, I don't know. She's just like punishing him right now. It's like, sit in the corner. You shouldn't have done that. You've been a bad boy. Don't talk to me. And then, when she's ready to, I guess, forgive him, then she'll, figure that out. But I think she'll punish him with, the Lyndon, going over to Lyndon and stuff like that. But it's like, if you're going to say, oh, you should pay attention to how someone treats you when they're upset, then I mean, the same applies to Lyndon too. So that would mean you would just need to walk away from the show at this point, like, because both of them have shown you exactly, how they would treat you if they're upset. So I think, she's still in the game, but her ego's a little bit hurt right now because it got too far.
You already know that for me personally, listen, Lyndon's about to be collateral damage. That's what I'm going to say. He's about to be collateral damage. This woman is not going to turn her affections towards Lyndon without it being a manipulative ploy. You have to understand how this works. When someone has a 1 and a 2, there's 1.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 steps before they get to 2. Do you understand? You ain't climbing all those steps. Okay. She made her choice a long time ago. And this only is gonna maybe make her not so solid number 1. But all it is gonna be is she's gonna try and get her own lick back at Tony at best, at worst, I should say. Even at best, she goes back to him and really wants it to become a relationship. At worst, she uses Lyndon, gets a lick back at the same time, gets Tony vexed and angry underneath the shell. Tony now knows who not to play with. Remember, she's the kind of person that chooses the thing that you love the most. Let's say in this particular instance, what's going to be your biggest weakness? And she just saw how Lyndon just actually unearthed Tony by just being in his presence. What do you think he's going to do when he finds out she kissed him and there's no other person he can flirt with? Well, you're going to flirt with somebody outside the show? Well, what's I going to do? They're outside the show. You know what I mean? I flirt with somebody who's on the show and I kissed him. So now we're going to say 3, 4, 5 to 1? Come on. You know what I mean? So she's just given Lyndon even more ammunition to go at Tony if he wanted to. And this is what's going to cause chaos if these boys are not aware and then they're not paying attention. Before they know it, it could be a bigger situation next week that could be on our hands. So this is looking explosive. This is good TV, but maybe not great for relationships. You know what I mean? I wouldn't want to be in this situation, that's for sure. It
is entertaining at the very least, but it's not healthy.
So you wouldn't do it yourself, Trey?
Oh, me? Oh,
yeah. You know about our life.
No, sir.
Appreciate you.
But I will say, even though I think she's going to go back to playing games, I do think that Lyndon looks a little bit more attractive in her eyes. I still stand by that. I think she surprised, or he surprised her a little bit with that move, and I do think that makes him even more appealing to flirt with at this time. Like, Before I might give you a little bit, I'm not gonna kiss you, but you know what? You deserve a kiss. I like that, you know? So even though it might not be like a genuine pivot over to Lyndon entirely, I still think there's still a level. He earned some points for that, I think.
Appreciate it, Faye. Do what you do best, Sean.
Yeah, nothing else. Any final remarks on the trifecta here? All right.
I was gonna say the real quick. The moral of the story: play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Y'all said it in the beginning. You got your prize, Morgan. Congrats.
Wow, not the death move, Jay. Jesus. Finished. You finished.
I'm sorry, I heard Mortal Kombat in the background.
Morgan is finished. There's nothing left.
That fatality.
All right. So listen, we appreciate y'all. Y'all held out strong with us tonight, in our Kojo's absence in the beginning. So we appreciate everybody that came through, to all the panelists. Y'all, held it down while I did my pseudo moderating. So appreciate y'all. But to the benediction, I think, listen, we summarized it. Jay almost did a good job, right? When it comes to Lyndon and Morgan and Tony, right? So I think the moral of the story there is just be careful, right? Be careful what you ask for. I think it's being intentional about what you really want in a mate. I think that is so important, right? Because some of the things on the surface that maybe worked for you in the past, you need to make sure if those things are going to work for you in your present and in your future, right? There needs to be resets in order to have healthy, successful relationships, right? You can't keep doing what worked for you, keep using that same recipe. If the recipe hurts your stomach, right? You got to tweak the recipe. So, for Morgan out there, we're sorry you caught a couple strays, but tweak the recipe, sis. We're rooting for you. And, listen, there's some solid dudes out here. Wink, wink. Once you do your healing and you come to the table correctly, who are willing to build and work together with you. And when it comes to Mercedes and Mark Anthony, Mercedes, just be careful. We appreciate your intentionality. We appreciate being genuine. We love all those qualities. But please just make sure you plant your seeds in fertile soil, right? Soil where it's going to grow and be nourished. Not in some dry soil that hasn't been fertilized, because you plant your seeds there, they will not grow. They will not grow. So just be careful where you plant your seeds. And that's for all of us. And Suanne and Blake, listen, sometimes you got to know when to hold them and when to fold them. And I think, Suanne, it's time for you to fold them, and that's okay. Just like most of the gracious folks say when they leave, your match either wasn't here or you take up and you build with the person that you've been in the process with. But, in the dating process, just don't be so quick to settle so early. Similar advice for Mercedes, right? Just don't be so quick to settle so early with the first person that kind of has a glimpse of good things. Make sure you explore your options. And back to you, Coach. I think I missed Andre. Oh, I missed Andre and Jeffrey. So for them, really quick, look, if you like it, we love it. Sometimes we can't see things in certain people's relationships, but it's not for us to see. However, authenticity wins, true love wins, being yourself wins. And that is what helps you win in love long term. Back to you.
Thank you, Sean, and I appreciate you taking over today as well, Cap. It's been a pleasure being in the background. I even got to tussle somebody. Amazing. Good fun. I listened to the conversation. I will edit for Seaway.
You froze, Coach.
God dang it, they strike again.
I told you guys it was contagious.
You need a something for that, okay? Because you just spread it around through the whole panel.
And he took Kojo out, and you guys are in the same. You both are in the UK, so you set him up.
Not the technical difficulties spreading like COVID.
Hey, Faye, hey, calm down.
See-vid.
The vid.
Y'all struggle streaming. It's not me.
I like how Seaway takes no accountability for any of this.
Nothing.
I'm not struggle streaming.
You can go the whole time and jump back on to say that.
Hopefully, Coach can come back for his final words. But let's see. I'm curious to see, who's going to be eliminated. And he's got to do his $5 questions too before he goes.
Good question though. Who y'all think is it going to be out of the two ladies?
I think it's going to be Suanne, because Mercedes hasn't been in the bottom two before, and I think Suanne has, right?
Yes, she has. Do you think the production not going to save her for Blake, or for whatever reason they got?
Maybe they'll throw a plot twist in there, but if they're being true, it should be Suanne. It's her time to go.
Most of the
chat. And then the ladies can vote off Blake because they've been dying to get rid of Blake.
Wait, why did somebody in the chat go say Blake? He ain't even on the block.
No, but remember, that's going to be the other plot twist because the women are going to get control too.
I know they get the control too, but I'm like, we talking about the women right now. Somebody like Blake.
Oh, they're ready for him to go too.
They don't care about Suanne.
We're still live.
Yes, we're waiting for you.
Cool. No worries. Sorry, guys. No, because the way you're talking, I was thinking, so do they know we're still live?
Yeah. No. We were just having random convo till you came back.
It did give
$5 question.
It was giving like
afterlife vibes. It definitely gave afterlife vibes for sure. That's Sean's fault.
I was like, I don't know what says they shouldn't, because we're still
and here
live.
You go, Sleeping Beauty. You waking up to call me out.
No, listen. Hey guys, let me not even waste time because obviously clearly the live is moving mad. But yeah, listen, guys, we're out and about. We're finished for the day. We really appreciate you guys as well. I know you guys asked about Put a Ring on It. I did watch it today, but I was out and about, so I couldn't do anything with it. But it looks good. I can't lie to you. So I'll see if the panelists want to jump on and do something with Put a Ring on It. It looks pretty decent. But on Thursdays during about I think 9 p.m. EST for you guys, I'll be with Crystal doing Put a Ring on It as well. So we'll probably end up doing lots of stuff on this channel with it. So prepare for that as well. But yeah, I said 9 p.m. EST, sorry, 3 p.m. EST, sorry, apologies. 9 p.m. EST will be live with Married at First Sight, apologies. But yeah, we will be having Put a Ring on It as well. So watch out for that. Tomorrow night is men's panel topic. I think it'll be a good topic to discuss leadership. I think Sean will be a perfect person for that, as he is a manager. I would love for him to take a bit more of a lead and just help us discuss that. Because I think after our live on Friday night, we had a 5-hour live. We had some people come through, and let me tell you something. It was a conversation to behold. So I think tomorrow definitely is a conversation about leadership and how that looks for us as men, how that might play a role in relationships as well. But yeah, can't wait to start doing Put a Ring content, because I'm telling you, this Put a Ring season looks like it was sweet. Can't lie to you, very sweet. So yeah. But anyway, listen, guys, as always, we're gonna leave you with something.
You're not doing your $5 question, Coach?
There's no more $5 in my Cash App, okay? No jokes. I actually have. I forgot.
Not you trying to spend out Kojo money.
He gonna send out Kojo money.
You gonna send out Kojo money.
I just sent some money in it. I forgot about the question.
That's Sean leading Kojo to pay out.
It's true. I actually forgot the question. Does anyone have a question? Put it in the chat for me, in the private chat. If someone's got a question, you guys are not part of it as always, but you guys heard the thing before. Yeah, I got a question. Who said what? Okay, thank you, Jay. Jay gonna give us a question so we can do this $5 question. You understand? Someone said I was a brokey the other time and said I need to up it to $10. Said person had never given anything on the channel. Okay.
I don't want no broke boys.
No, broke boys. You get me?
Yeah, I'm thinking of something. Give me 2 seconds.
Oh, you don't think of a question, yeah? Well, but why you not taking long? I'm also going to my notes. Oh, taking long. Okay, someone put something in. Fantastic. As a question. They said 5 8 not. It's true, Faye. It's true, Faye. They did say that. Okay. Jay, is that a question? Is that a question? All right, let me put a question in then. Okay, let's put a question. Let me see. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah. That's cool. That's simple. It doesn't have to be difficult. So I appreciate it, Jay. Good question. Okay, you got 2 questions. Who was a? I don't even know that. Do you know what the answer is, Sean? I don't even know that. Oh, we should. Oh, okay. I didn't even know that. Maybe we can do 2 then. All right, cool. First question for the $5 giveaway is who was friend zoned in this particular episode, or should say re-friend zoned in this particular episode? Who was re-friend zoned in this particular episode? The actual person who was friend zoned, not the person who did the friend zoning. Who was the person that was friend zoned? First person in the chat will be the winner for this particular giveaway. Yeah. I think the first person is I've got here Hampton. So Hampton, you are the winner for that particular question. Send your Cash App to me by email or send it on this chat and I will send you some money. Okay, get yourself a nice little coffee and half a biscuit on me because you can't afford a full one because the coffee is freaking $4.98 or something. Coffee shops be expensive these days.
Afford to have all that plus they have to put a little extra on their coffee.
Yo, you can't even ask for the cream. There's extra. They go like, do you want grand or do you want no, give me the small. Give me the small. You get and second question to give away $5 cash is also this question. Who was the first to pick their room? Who was the first person to pick their room? Who was the first person to pick their room? Ooh, yeah. It looks like Babs was the first person. Her internet's connected to hyperspeed fiber. She's won the prize, and she said Mercedes, which was correct. Okay. All right. Some of you are going to be having those little mini espressos at Costa Next and Starbucks because that $5 ain't pulling nothing, but that's more cup. But we appreciate you. So Babs, send your Cash App, and also Hampton, you said you don't want the $5. Well, you've now said it. So who do you want to pass it to? Hampton, choose somebody in the chat. Who do you want to send it to? Because clearly you don't want it. So he said, the person said, listen, they don't want that. They don't want that little $5.
Somebody the last time told you to add it to the pot so you can make a bigger fund.
Do you know what? No, that's okay. Listen. Since Hampton said he doesn't want it, we'll add it to the pot. So next week, someone's getting 10. How about it? Right? You know what I mean? Add it to a pot. And then what I'll do for next week, I might do a double or quit. You know what I'm saying? So if you won, I can do a double or quit question. And I'll make the question a little bit harder. We can add to the pot. You can win or you can lose. You know what I'm saying? So we'll make it more fun. All right. So, we'll make it more fun. So next week, we'll do double or quit. All right. All right, next week, so I can recover my Cash App because y'all don't send me nothing. So, but yeah, listen, and I don't add anything to the Cash App. But anyway, guys, it's a much appreciated on here. Babs, make sure you send me your Cash App. Hampton, thank you. You said you're going to add it to the cash pot. So next week's cash prize is a total $10. $10. Great. So someone can win $10 or double or quits. So anyway, listen, we appreciate you guys. So locked, so loaded. And listen. You know what? I got 2 memes for you today. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna go out with, what we always do, but I had to add this one to make sure that we go out with a bang. Okay?
I'm leaving here with something. You know what I mean? I'm from around the way. I'm leaving with something.
And just in case anybody ever talks nonsense to you, just tell them this.
Not on my watch. Not on my watch.
That clip is legendary. Not on my watch. Anyala said it best. All right, we'll see you again very, very soon. We appreciate you. Stay locked and stay loaded. Yeah, we gonna love and appreciate you guys. All right, good night and bye-bye.